before it's too late. Guten Morgen, my dear friends and family. Operator Starsky here. Newman, hello, and Katie, Paul, Andrew, and everyone else. It wasn't me. Guten Morgen, my dear friends. So, if you feel bored, if you don't know how to waste your beautiful Sunday morning, of course, we provide you with such opportunity. And by we, I mean, of course, myself and my good friend Sophia from Kyiv/Rostov, but mostly Kyiv. How are you doing, Sophia? What's new?
Hi. I'm just great, thank you. And as you can see, I get my mic installed, so I don't have to yell at you all anymore. So let me know what you think.
All right. It's absolutely amazing. I hate when people yell at me, especially women. And yeah, and considering the fact that I spent like several years in the army, yelling on people and people yelling at me, that's like actually that would bring me a lot of good memories. So, my dear friends, this weekend was absolutely freaking insane because we are joined by Mirko, of course, and Garrett. Welcome in the chat, and Chester as well. This weekend was absolutely insane because the amount of Ukrainian drones going to Russia, like literally, partying hard like crazy. That is absolutely insane. Murray Duncan and Fragaria, hello. Let's talk about that. Let's briefly talk about what happened yesterday, because yesterday there were several very big strikes in places like Tula and Moscow Oblast. But we should talk about those, all right? Because they were amazing, I think. We have some video coming from Tula. Oh, fuck.
Прям просто где-то над башкой, блядь. Весь дом ходуном, нахуй.
Yeah, sorry about the sound. The dude is nagging about the explosion that took place. The firework, the beautiful firework that took place over his head in Tula. Here we have amazing blackout in Zhukovsky in Moscow Oblast. Sophia, what do rest of Russians think about people from Moscow?
It's a good question. First of all, let me remind you that Zhukovsky has an airport, not really a civil airport. It has an aerodrome, so that's probably why we went there to party. And answering your question, basically there is a big gap between Moscow and the rest of Russia, as well as there is a big gap between any big city, any city for this matter, and the rest of the place. Yeah, so like it's a gaps like everywhere. And of course, like no one likes Muscovites because they think that the Muscovites are over the top with their expectations and the salaries, which is not true, actually. Not true. It used to be true back in 2009, 2008, maybe, before the crisis happened, but not anymore. Like everyone struggles. But yeah, who knows?
So basically, people in Russia hate them for being snob. At the same time, they're not as snob. Like being snob is not justified, right?
Yeah, that's true, and it's exactly not justified. And maybe it's like they keep going by habit, maybe. Yeah, because like this fictionary conflict between Moscow and the regions. But yeah, but that's so Russia, that's so Russia. They need external enemies as well as internal enemies. So they always have to have somebody that they can be friends against. Yeah, they're like, let's make friends and be against somebody. So they always need this somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Life is not exciting enough when you don't have enemies, and you cannot live peacefully. So we have yesterday we had several messages like according to due to the emergency situation that took place in the power network. A lot of blackouts could be observed in different places. So currently we are working to remove the blackouts, and basically we've seen a lot of those coming since yesterday. Also yesterday there was another wave coming to Belgorod Oblast. The Russians were actually talking about approximately 700 drones, all right, and basically what they were saying, all right, in the social media since yesterday and since tonight looked approximately like this. Approximately in this regime, they were reporting about different drones in many oblasts, because if, for example, we take a look at the map of the drones that went straight to Russia tonight, this map looks absolutely impressive. We can see that they were heading all the way to Moscow Oblast, Ryazan. That is Mordovia, I'm sorry.
Mordovia.
Mordovia. And also they went south and they hit several Russian facilities in Rostov and other places, but we will talk about that, all right, because we still have some of the updates coming from yesterday. In Pokrovsk, by the way, let's talk a bit about Pokrovsk, because I remember like last week, I think, was it last week or this week? Anyway, several days ago, all sorts of Russian propagandists were literally screaming about encircled Ukraine, like thousands and thousands of soldiers encircled in the area of Pokrovsk. I remember some of the Russian fans, all right, also they went to the chat and they were talking about those 5,000 poor Ukrainian soldiers encircled in Pokrovsk. And since that moment, all right, I'm literally like counting days. Okay, like when will we see any updates on that? Because one thing that we can observe is that, of course, Putin is provided fake reports by his generals who tell him that Pokrovsk is basically taken like 1 month ago already, everything's fine, like we took like 10,000 Ukrainian prisoners and everything else. But we can see this happening over and over again throughout the years. I believe the first time I've heard about Pokrovsk being completely encircled and taken, I think like last year for sure. Do you remember something like that?
Yeah, you're right. That was the first time when it was allegedly taken.
First time it was allegedly taken last year, basically. And they keep like saying the same shit. And for example, here we can see the main intelligence directorate here on this footage deploying their troops in Pokrovsk and counterattacking, all right, because the situation is, of course, very intense there. The biggest problem is literally the concentration of terror Russian drones in the area, but we can see the Ukrainian special forces conducting successful operation there, taking control over the Russian positions. And yesterday, Ukraine basically started something that might actually result in removing some of the Russian positions, all right, and clearing some of the crucial ones. We will see, all right. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be like Russian propagandists. Holy shit! Yesterday we already encircled 1 million Russians in that area. No, guys. We will be realistic on this channel, all right, but what we can see is the reality. Pokrovsk is not encircled, it's not taken, it's not captured. There are no 5,000 Ukrainians led by Russian soldiers through the streets, all right, as captured prisoners of war. All that only takes place in the Russian imagination, all right? And Russian imagination is basically such a very, very interesting thing, all right? We will talk a bit about this just a bit later. So, according to chief of Ukrainian Security Service of Ukraine, the legendary SBU, General Vasyl Maluk, reported that one of 3 Oreshnik complexes has been destroyed in Kapustin Yar. So you probably remember that amazing weapon of mass disinformation that scared the living crap out of Joe Rogan, made him like completely hysteric and cry like a baby during his podcast, all right? And it turns out that mighty Russian terrorist federation only had 3 of those complexes built, all right? They are able to build something like 6 missiles a year, in best case. Yeah, realistically, they're able to build like 6 missiles a year. They were speaking about like 100 missiles. Of course, everything is possible when you lie. But the reality is, like 6 missiles is the max that they can do, right? And they built enormous amount of 3 missile systems, all right, of that type. And one of them was improved in Kapustin Yar, according to the reports of chief of the Security Service of Ukraine. How reliable is what the chief of Security Service of Ukraine is saying? Well, basically, he is the person who leads this big military force in Ukraine that hit Russian Kerch bridge already fucking 3 times. And they are also the guys who conducted this absolutely beautiful Operation Spiderweb on the Russian territory, eliminating 1/3 of Russian strategic aviation fleet in a single strike, all right, in a single day. So basically what he says is, in my personal opinion, very, very much reliable. Like this man will not say bullshit, all right? What's your impression, by the way, Sophia? What's your impression from the Spiderweb operation?
This is brilliant. As I say, like this is what makes difference in war nowadays. Not the missiles, not manpower, like these kind of things. Don't work hard, work smart. I love it, guys. Like we're on the right path, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve says, it's 3 a.m. and I've already downed a pot of coffee and a bowl of weed. All right. Not bad. But does it make you like stay awake, or does it work the opposite way?
Depends on the sort. Depends on the origin. If we talk about weed the same way we talk about coffee, so the different origins makes you do different express different statements.
Ah, that's interesting. Because I'm not an expert. I was arresting people for that, but I never, I never had a chance to
legal in Ukraine. It's partially legal in Ukraine, so nothing to arrest people about.
I know. I did that like back in the days, 2015. Places like Krasnogorivka, Kurakhove, Marienka, all that stuff. So. What else do we have, guys? Let's check out Neil Cook. Hello, Chester. All right, who else? Bridget, and it wasn't me. Sir Doug Fisher, Michael, and Tsurimor, and Sophie. So, let's continue, because this one is amazing. This is Moscow Oblast. You can see this amazing party. And why is this happening, you might ask? And the answer to this is basically when the power, when the energy network is overloaded. That's exactly what you can see, like those amazing, oh my God, Sveta Muzika, light and music and stuff like that. Yeah. And yeah, some more footage from beautiful Zhukovsky. If you don't see anything on your screens, that's exactly what it looked like yesterday night. So besides that, Orlovskaya, my God, heating power station in the terrorist federation, the one that was hit, the one that we saw a couple of days ago. Basically, Ukrainian Navy reported that it was hit with Neptune missiles. The Neptune missiles that hit Novobransk. Which, by the way, tells me that Ukraine started using the modified Neptune missiles that first models were designed literally to strike and sink ships, like Russian flagship Moskva, all right, that turned into a submarine, like the biggest submarine in the world. Then they improved those, and we could see one of those missiles being launched, for example, at I believe it was either Storm Shadow or Neptune, the one that hit the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Crimea. One of those. All right. I cannot remember for sure. I think it was either Neptune or the Storm Shadow. Might be Storm Shadow though. Yeah, but according to the developers of Neptune missiles, basically they enlarged the missile. They enlarged the warhead, and also they added several additional fuel tanks on this missile, so it can fly up to something like 1,000 kilometers and carries much more. Yeah, that Fragranchezo, that is long Neptune. That's Neptune king size, because size matters, of course. All right. G7, the organization that was known as J in Kyiv. Hello, my friend. So the co-host is Sophia, my good friend from Kyiv. She's former Russian, all right, and she lives in Kyiv since, oh my God, 2018, and she helps me burn Russian essays, which, by the way, she does absolutely professionally and deserves all sorts of my respect. So, the G7, the organization that was known as G8 before Russia started its invasion of Ukraine. So the ministers of energy and environment of G7 promised that they will help Ukraine expand and protect and basically repair its energy system, and help Ukraine in whatever way possible, all right, which is something I'm actually looking forward to seeing, because Pietro, ciao, hello, how are you doing?
Sophie says, Sophie says, within the year, Russia will have produced thousands of new tanks with no one to man them, no railways to transport them, and no fuel to run them on, like Nazi Germany in December 1944. That's exactly, yes, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what we were talking about. Yeah, we were discussing the last time. Actually, Ukraine does the amazing job by, bleeding Russia like dry. Okay, they need to have like no fuel to power anything, like yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, and this is brilliant. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the war of attrition, my friends, and there is absolutely no way a country with annual GDP that is smaller than Texas and approximately the size of Italy can actually withstand the war against, I'm talking at least the war in economical terms, against Europe and the United States that have the GDP that is combined is between 40 and 60 times the Russian GDP. So that is absolutely insane. And of course, Russia is very, very much optimistic, all right, regarding winning the war of attrition. And Paul, hello, my dear friend. Russians are celebrating when Russian invaders are taking like square millimeters of Ukrainian territory, which they of course they need to report something to Putin, and Putin, otherwise known as Huilo around the world, and the name that he will keep when he goes down in history as a Huilo, he considers this like positive tendency, basically. Like, of course, to Russian invaders, it sounds positive when they take like this tree line, that tree line, burying 1,000 soldiers a day, in order to achieve that. But on the other hand, they don't understand that in terms of the war of attrition, this absolutely makes no sense. The war of attrition is about lasting longer than your opponent. With the same dynamics that Russia is showing in terms of taking territory in Ukraine, they will need more than 100 years and more population than they physically have in order to take control over the whole Ukraine. So they will need at least 5 more years in order to take the rest of the remaining parts of Donetsk Oblast, also Zaporizhia, Dnipro. They will need maybe around a decade, all right? Again, considering the same dynamic. But what will happen to Russia if such dynamic is preserved? Because Russia already lost basically half of its oil production within just several months. So at the same time, they cannot present enough tanks and enough armored vehicles to support their infantry attacks, and we will see them, continuing to try to bleed Ukrainian army with their male population in the small group assaults. But how long can they last, with all that? That is a very, very good question.
Yeah.
So Maduro, like crazy, is calling like the most civilized countries to help him protect him against the evil United States, all right, evil United States. He called the most democratic countries of the world, like Russia, China, and Iran, trying to, asking them to bring, drones and men to defend him, all right, but not really sure that they are able to do that. Okay, we have some more absolutely amazing footage of Russian Moscovian Oblast being improved in terms of its electricity and energy grid. And also yesterday Berlin was shut down temporarily because of the unknown UAVs that were noticed in the area, and also several UAVs were spotted in Belgium. We will talk about that a bit later. Russians basically, again, just so you could understand the level of absolute ignorance in Kremlin, all right, where Putin is actually convinced that he is achieving enormous progress in Kupiansk, right, and Pokrovsk. So basically, they sent invitations to journalists to literally go there and check it out. The Bild journalist Yulian Rybke actually showed one of the emails that came from the Russian propagandists. Well, the only reason they can actually go there is to see the Russian demise, the fields of the Russian bodies eaten by dogs and wild pigs. That's exactly what they will see. One interesting thing, but by the way, that Jay is mentioning is that Russia is renewed efforts to pour weapons into Venezuela and Iran is good news. More confirmation that the old dictator had entered the paranoid delusion phase. Absolutely. There was an update when the all-Sinters actually tracked a Russian cargo aircraft going to Venezuela, and why it's dangerous, for example, to the United States Army that might be involved in this conflict very soon is, of course, because Russians might bring drones and skilled drone operators. All right, they can actually do that, regardless of what is happening in Ukraine right now. They can actually do that, and they can bring those people to Venezuela and later use them to strike, for example, American positions or American vehicles or ships, and actually kill American soldiers. So
Yeah,
that
but there is
is,
a problem. There is a
yeah,
problem. They don't have this many skilled drone operators, and they're getting less and less in number.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks to our guys there.
yeah,
But that's
absolutely.
the thing, Russia is drawn in its own lies. I don't understand. Like you see what's happening now. Putin is not being properly informed about what is happening, like in the battlefield, right? But some years ago, like basically my first and only question to people of Crimea, like I'm sorry for getting this far, but we're going back to 2015, was it's like, guys, didn't you know that Russia that you see on TV exists only on TV? So this Russia exists only on the first channel, on the channel one. Yes, I also want to live there. So where is this Russia? Why I did not see it before, which you guys are so happy to join.
Yeah, it's like a parallel reality, like
Exactly.
Narnia.
And here's the
Yeah,
same thing. Yes, they can. They can bring drones. They can bring drones operators. But again, how many of them? And if they even have any after victory.
yeah, absolutely. Steve there in the chat says it sounds like yes, man lied to Putin.
They
Absolutely,
do.
like friends, you've seen yourself. Like literally a couple of days ago, some degenerate in the chat was like, "Yay, Ukrainians are in the cauldron," which, by the way, is completely Russian term. That is what they say. Котел instead
Control,
of
yeah.
encirclement, they say котел, cauldron with like normal people never use, all right, like in the real life. So that's the complications of Google Translate. But like it was 3 or 4 days ago, and like, yeah, cauldron, and like, all right, where, what, where?
Yeah.
So
Sorry. Echo 0083 is asking about Pussy Riot. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Pussy Riot. Don't be tricked by the false alarms, basically. Okay, Pussy Riot used to be the group Vaina. That's how they call themselves. Group War, art group War, and they are from St. Petersburg, I think. And initially, they were conducting all these stupid actions, like they were making a porn in their studio, like a group sex, okay, filming this whole thing, and they called it like some protest action. And but the most famous they are for drawing a penis on one of the bridges in St. Petersburg. So when it got raised, okay, you could see the penis, like, erecting. So that's what their thought behind it. So basically, Pussy Riot was, yeah, they were loud, but they're still Russians. I'm sorry. I'm sorry they don't learn, because no, there were three, and then two of them went to United States after they got released. Okay, and they got, as far as I understand, or as far as I heard, actually, one of them or two of them were happily deported from US because they were noticed. Okay, they were listed in some protests in US, being and seeking asylum, okay, being an immigrant. So this is something really, really stupid. Like the lesson we could learn, okay, if you go to foreign country and this country gives you asylum, do not participate in protest until you know what it is. So this is something we should learn from about.
that's so cool. Oh my god, like, Russian protest reckless and useless. Seriously, fucking draw a penis. Navalny taking selfies in the police car, and shit like that. Fuck. That
Now
that
you know.
is Now you know, guys, seriously, like the people who can protest, all right? Like, if you want to see real Russian people who can protest against Putin and literally show it with their actions every single day, take a look at Russian Legion Freedom for Russia, Russian Voluntary Corps, Russian Siberian Battalion, all those units with blue and yellow patches currently fighting in Ukrainian army against the Russian invaders on Ukrainian territory. Those guys show exactly how to properly protest against Putin. There is nothing else, all right? Nothing else works. Kara Murza, Huya Murza, fuck those bitches, seriously. Yeah, Latinina, my ass. Oh my god.
Yeah, agree.
Like when you go on the street in a country that despises democracy and is basically is based on the foundation of repressing people's freedoms, repressing people's rights and everything else, your protests will not work. You can draw as many penises on bridges as fucking possible. It just doesn't fucking work. Ukrainians already proved that. Ukrainians proved that there is a place for peaceful protest, of course, and there is also place for direct for direct action. Exactly, because when we created. When we started this Revolution of Dignity, all right, and this Revolution of Dignity was meant to be a peaceful democratic protest, one thing we did was actually we established several sotnyas of self-defense, right, because we knew that it will not last long, all right, because this regime that is ruling Ukraine in 2013, 2014, the Yanukovych regime, it was basically like copy-paste of Russian regime. It was repressive and it was anti-democratic in principle. So that's something that Russians should have taken from Ukrainian experience, but due to people like Max Katz, for example, who literally just chill somewhere in Europe, all right, it doesn't work because he says we don't need Ukrainian experience, fuck them, we have our own path, and basically we can see what their own way looks like.
Yeah, the third way, like they say, there is a Asian way and European way, and there is a third way, like a Russian way. That's broadly kept in mind in Russia. And the other thing is, sorry to take some time, but basically, this is a theory, okay? This is a very interesting theory I wanted to share with you guys. They say, okay, allegedly, that Russia, like in the sense like we know it now, like almost empire, but Russian way, yeah, like Russian empire. This is one civilization, and Ukraine and some other countries, right, represent like a different branch of civilization, different intentions, different motives, okay, different desires, and different goals. Of course, yeah, and that is why like we don't match. It's not about who is better, who is worse. We're not talking about that, right? They are just different. And realizing this, okay, self-realization and self improvement, okay, this is like essential for any civilization. But just like this is like a funny way to see things, basically. Yeah, if they have like they you can say they motivated by something bigger than they are. That's what they think. Like with the God's will, God wants me to rule the world. God wants me to rule Ukraine. God wants me to do this. Where Ukrainians basically are very down to earth people. Okay, they and that's what I really respect about them. Okay, regarding that, we need to live good, right, and we'll figure out the rest. While Russians do the other way around. First, they're trying to figure their higher idea of the purpose of living on Earth, right? And then, if we have time, we'll get to the essential needs.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful, seriously, when you think about it. Like, we have to protest about the regime of Putin that literally blows up its own houses, kills people, assassinates, the protesters and leaders of the opposition, stuff like that. What do? Let's make porn. Great idea, absolutely. Why I didn't think about that? Yay! Shit. I can protest like that every fucking day. Seriously. Like, oh my god. Okay, let's continue. So we have more explosions in Russian Tula. We've seen this one. This is from the insider that actually predicts that Ukrainian strategy of deep strikes that, according to Kirill Budanov, will be happening deeper and deeper in the terrorist federation nowadays, is actually threatening Russia with big problems in terms of its fuel closer to 2026. So that's a very, very interesting point of view, considering that Russia already lost approximately 40% of its capacity of fuel production and processing. Also, Ukrainian intelligence yesterday reported on destroying an oil transitioning line in Podmoskovia, all right, on the territory of Ramensky region of Moscow Oblast. 3 lines of Koltsevoy oil transferring line, like the big pipe basically, all right, were destroyed. So Russian army used this oil transferring whatever construction in order to receive diesel and also aviation fuel, as well as petrol that were used by the terrorist Russian army. I think before we go to the Russian cringe section, all right, I need to puff, because this one this one is kind of cringy, all right? Like Putin is currently considered like by many, by the way, by many, like Tucker Carlson, all right? Apparently, of course, because
reliable sources.
Yeah. So by many. Unfortunately, Putin is still considered like wise strategist who literally, plays 10D chess. Trump plays 5D chess. He plays 10D chess and stuff like that. But at the same time, the dude is fucking old, and not just old. He's fucked up, generally speaking, because when you rule a country as a dictator, as the most rich person of the world on planet Earth, basically, which is the fact. Elon Musk, like, he's not the richest. So when this happens, and at some point you lose connection with the reality, all right, and we can see the same happening in Putin, but also with the age, because the dude is like actually in his 70s or something. I think he's in his 70s.
71 or 76, something like that. You're right.
Yeah. So he should actually get accustomed to the soil very, very fast. But recently he was like signing, those executive orders and shit, and he pretended that he was dipping his pen in the ink, which wasn't there because it was a ball. Yeah.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is this? He was just like...
Or maybe they have this in Kremlin. Maybe they have this, inked actually pen in Kremlin. That could be, I'm just assuming, okay? I don't know about it. I'm just assuming. That could be related to the safety, means you could not bring some foreign pens inside the building, or maybe they have their own pens and they're inked because they can be, disassembled, like to the shed and then assembled back. Maybe that's the point.
The thing is, they have a lot of fuck-ups related to the pens recently, because did you hear that my God, it was like a couple of weeks ago. The dude was sitting and talking about increasing pensions for the pensioners since $230 to $250 a month. And he was like twisting a pen that costed like $600, all right? And the Russians made actually like a very, very big headline out of it. Like, while during his press conference, Putin unscrewed the pen, all right? And like many, many headlines, Putin with his mighty hand took a pen and unscrewed it. Can you believe this? It was immediately after the headlines like Putin woke up, Putin brushed his teeth, Putin pooped, Putin, took a leak, Putin drank a glass of vodka, whatever. And the headline, like it was everywhere in the Russian media, Putin unscrewed the pen. So the journalists actually traced that the pens that they use in Kremlin were made in Italy on a specific factory that exists since early 20th century, and it's like very, very exquisite thing. And they spent millions of rubles on those pens instead of like literally buying a pen that costs like, I don't know, like, well, this one costs a bit more because this is iPencil, but generally, like, I don't know, you have plenty of pens that cost like 50 cents, all right? And they fucking work. You can do signatures with them, all right? Actually, so the fucker unscrewed the pen that costs like almost 3 times the pension of a Russian pensioner. So this shit is amazing, and like the way he's doing that, that is something I just cannot explain. Is he fucking mentally?
He's just old, man. Cut him a slack, please. He's just old. Let me tell you something about Mr. Putin, okay? In the sense that I personally observe. Okay, the guy is in his 70s. He does not understand the modern world. He does not want to understand modern world. He wants everything to remain as it knows it, as he remembers it before, and that's what he is, aiming to. And basically, again, the guy in his 70s, you're asking about like a smartphone. The Medvedev, aka bought rice in the past. Yeah, he knows how to operate the iPhone. This guy doesn't, and he doesn't even want to know. And that's the reality Russia lives in. And you can imagine, right? Again, you remember we talked about these contactless payments and all, right? Which Eastern Europe at that time, Russia in particular, was like more developed in than it was Qatar back then. And now, okay, since he's not getting even younger, he's getting older, and the last thing on earth that he wants is to be disturbed, to be honest. And that is exactly why this war is going. That is exactly what he wants out of this whole thing. He wants everything to back to the picture that he knows.
Yeah, I think so, pretty much. At the same time, it's so interesting to observe, for example, when you look at developed countries, look at United States, look at European countries where people his age actually like travel by themselves, all sorts of gadgets and stuff, and the difference between, for example, people in their 70s in Russia and in Europe is, first of all, people in Europe, they look freaking 20 years younger usually. That is something that I noticed very, very long time ago. In the United States, if someone looks 40, they might be around 50 plus, all right? That's like my observation, because I've seen a lot of people in the post-Soviet space, and this is what I accustomed to, right? And people on the West, regardless of the past, they are still more advanced because their society is built on this, on progress, on the idea that if you live somewhere in a tiny town, somewhere, I don't know, in Bavaria, for example, you still need to have services, you still need to have utilities. You don't have to go to a fucking forest, get yourself a firewood, all right? Because you need to have something like heating, gas, whatever. And Putin is basically stuck in his KGB past in like 1987. He still lives there. And I think that he actually cherishes the memories of that time, because basically all the Sovoks, all right, all the people who have nostalgia after the Soviet Union, they have nostalgia because in the times of the Soviet Union they were young, they had erection, they had good health, proper sexual life, and things like that. Now they are fucking 40 years older almost, all right? And, 40, like 20 years older, all right? And they are not as healthy. They are, of course, their age is growing, and Putin is absolutely the same, I think, because back in those days he would be a KGB agent, all right, he would have some kind of personal life, all right, even though it was like a quasi-life, but still, he was healthy, all right, he was healthy, he was in good health, he didn't have his full face of Botox. And now he's like a really old fart who lost connection with the reality, and he's fucking crazy. Like the way he talks to people, the way remember he went to school and he drew a vagina on the school board. Like, what the fuck was that, dude? Like.
But you see, Sophie says that both Putin and Trump suffer from narcissistic nostalgia. This is absolutely true, Sophie. But you let's speculate, okay? Because Putin and Trump, they had, like you say, people used to have a very different nurseries, right? So Putin and Trump had a very different nurseries in sense of their early adult life, yeah. And basically, while Trump was in the business industry, in the business field, like, correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, and he is still considering himself being in the business industry. So he basically didn't go far from what he knows. Putin is a whole different thing, yeah, because world 20 years ago and world now, not 20 years ago, back in 90s, back in late 80s, 40 years ago already. You were right, actually. Not 20, 40 years ago. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so life used to be absolutely different, right? Like very, very different. In US as well, but not that much. That's another thing to consider. They didn't go far from what they know. They still want wellness. They still want health industry, right? Health. They still want insurance. They still have cheap food. So that's what they want. Putin is a whole different thing. But consider this. There is a saying, okay? They're absolutely crazy. But my question is, how exactly are they crazy? So psychopath, okay, who you can call psychopath, is a person who does not know any better. Okay, he does things because he does not understand. They do not understand what they're doing. Basically, maybe they don't have like mental, mental part of it to comprehend. Okay, maybe it's organic, maybe it's something else. But all in all, they don't have these bricks in their mental state, which makes them comprehend their actions, okay, and be responsible for them. Sociopath, okay, is a person who has all these, so that they don't have any organic problems, they don't have any like problems in sense of producing the decisions and producing and understanding their motives. Okay, they know what they're doing, but they're still doing that. Yeah. So that's the difference, and I wonder which one of them they are.
I think Trump is more narcissist compared to, because there's generally three antisocial disorders. That's basically narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath. And you're absolutely right. I think that Putin is rather like a clear psychopath because he doesn't understand the consequences of his actions. All right, because people were impressed there in the chat, like what the fuck did he do? He was invited to a school, not like he was invited. I think his press service, of course, did that. All right, he went to school and he was asked to draw something on the school board. So he drew, this means 1st of September, all right? And then he drew this fucking shit. And the kids were like looking at it and they're like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, this is the cat view from behind.
We used to do that when I was in 5th grade. I'm sorry. 5th grade.
Oh my God. But this one was, I'm not really sure which grade is that, but I'm sure that, okay, I can understand you're a woman, but I bet like majority of the kids didn't even know how the fuck does it look like, all right? And the dude literally drew that on the fucking school board in the school. That happened years after he kissed a boy, all right?
Yeah. Boy survived, but he got absolutely infected by this Z virus, and he absolutely loves Putin and all this. As far as I read.
Yeah. Boy survived, but this is exactly how this virus of Ruski Mir was transferred to him, all right, through the belly kiss. Yeah, but that is so fucked up, my friends.
But this is he was trying to blend in with the crowd, I guess. He was trying to you understand how much he wants to be loved. That's the thing. And this is a joke, actually. This is from the 5th grade. I'm telling you, this is what the boys, draw on the blackboard and all around. Like, okay, this is a cat, and they consider it funny. But again, 5th grade, guys. 5th grade.
Yeah. Neil Cook says the angle that J.D. Vance goes for. Absolutely. So, yeah, I believe that he literally tried to blend in with the crowd, right? Look more human than he is in reality. But because he's a fucking psychopath and he doesn't know, like, what people think might be inappropriate, he didn't really realize what he does. And the same was with the boy, actually. The same happened with that boy that he kissed on the belly, because he didn't understand that, fuck, that shit is actually something that he can get arrested for. Imagine you are somewhere, like in the crowd, some motherfucker literally crouches near your kid and kisses your kid on the belly. I would fucking kill him, seriously, right there.
Yeah.
I would not even call cops. I would literally kill him right there.
Yeah, but do you know that I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it now, but this PDF file thing is very common among government and among church.
Yeah, that's true. Investigators say that if you go to places like dark web and things like that, which, by the way, recently they discovered some of the biggest PDF networks, and that was discovered and exposed. They say that majority of the content actually comes from Russia. And it comes from Russia already starting like 80s, 90s, like since those times. And that explains one of the reasons why they are so fucked up and why different individuals like Scott Ritter, for example, are so much attracted to this amazing place on Earth. All right. So let's switch to our updates. All right, so this is G7. Oh, I have some of the Russian cringe and like quasi-Russian cringe, because this is something beautiful. That's exactly the case when you see, like in Ukraine we have the saying, a frog fucked a viper, and that's exactly what we can observe. So we already talked about Tatiana Montyan. Tatiana Montyan was a lawyer in Ukraine, like 2000s. She was a good lawyer. She was a protector of human rights and stuff like that, until she, according to different rumors, she started fucking the Minister of Interior in the Yanukovych government. She completely changed after that, and then when the invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine started, first she started going to Donbass and back, and then she went to Russia in 2022, where she now lives. And in the beginning, she was invited to all sorts of different shows, like on the Russian TV, and she was, of course, they treat her like a fucking ape because she is not Russian, all right? Technically and naturally, she is not Russian. So they were invited her like a collaborationist, to talk shit about Ukraine on the Russian TV. But eventually she started going crazier and crazier, and she started actually criticizing Russian regime, criticizing the Russian commanders and everything else. And she was recently included in the list of the extremists on the Russian territory, which basically means that the Следственный комитет, the Russian Investigation Committee, already launched a criminal case against her. So she decided to sue different Russian establishments, which... Oh my god! I feel like I'm gonna start laughing like crazy in just a second, because she decided that she will sue different Russian establishments, different Russian bloggers and Russian propagandists who basically accuse her in being, SBU agent, for example. She decided to sue them in Russia. I mean, why can't she fucking sue directly Putin himself in some, regional Russian court?
She doesn't know that it doesn't work in Russia because she's not Russian. You said it all right. He still lives under illusion that, suing works in Russia. Yay. It doesn't.
Fuck, what did she expect, seriously?
That's the thing. You just said that she was fucking somebody from Yanukovych's government, and I don't understand why anybody would fuck somebody from Yanukovych's government. Neither, okay, if you look, just leave behind that Russia is a terrorist state. Okay, just be with me. Okay, just try to imagine things, right? And just imagine you don't know what is happening. You just see their noble faces, right? So you, as a man, would you like to fuck anyone from Russian government? Anyone that you see on TV? Anybody at all? Someone? Some tiny little one? No? Me neither.
No fucking way.
Why? That's what amazes me. There used to be an normal, when you look at the pictures, of Chirurg, for example. We have a guy named Chirurg who is a biker from Night Wolves, Russian branch of Night Wolves. And so that you know, or maybe you don't know, that he was one side of a first known gay couple in Soviet Union. And back then, he used to be much, much nicer. He used to look much, much nicer than now. And that's the thing, there's a baby face that it used to be hilarious. It used to be really, really cute. Now, it's not that I don't want to fuck him. I don't want to come anywhere near him. Again, he's not a man anymore. Okay, it doesn't matter which hole he prefers. Okay, in bed, it does not matter. The only matter is they look so bad after they join terrorist state that they lose human appearance.
Did you see Checherina?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
This is substances.
Wait, Checherina, whatever. Checherina, when she was young, all right? When she was, where are her Where are her like old photos? Like I don't know, like this one, for example. When she was right, again, not really my style, all right, but she was more or less like here, all right. Well, or okay,
Yeah,
she looks more or less, despite despite the fact that
normal. She looks normal.
even
Let's put it like this.
yeah, but she looked normal. After she became like a hardcore degenerate, she started going to like Donbass and Crimea. What the fuck has happened to her? Like Chicherina, Valeria, all that shit.
Yeah.
Like
That guy who played in Generation P, Ivana Khlobystin, the same. He looks very very bad. And somebody in chat, I'm sorry, I'm gonna find this comment. Maybe the alcohol consumption has gone in Auckland, like Mr. Doug Fisher says. Yes, sir, but I don't think this is alcohol. Russians drink a lot, but these people, I think this is some substances we're talking about. I'm not sure which ones are like, but if we dig deeper, actually, we could figure it's always obvious. But yeah, this is alcohol as well as illegal substances.
absolutely. So, returning to our little case here, right, of frogs fucking vipers. So, another Russian propagandist, Ilya Remeslo, actually called to repress all sorts of Ukrainian collaborationists who went to Russia and like relocated there. He openly calls, he says the sect of crypto Ukrainians actually we are already fed up with the sect of crypto Ukrainians who tell Russians how to live, all right? Because generally they don't have any right to speak there, because who are they? They are apes. They are Untermenschen in Russia. Russians will never consider them Russia, whatever bullshit Russians are saying that Ukrainians and Russians are the same people. Again, like that is so fucked up, and she will never be equal there. And I'm so baffled, with this, because I don't know how much they earned by selling Ukraine, all right, by selling their motherland to Kremlin. But at the same time, I just cannot imagine the level of acceptance of this. How to say it? I'm losing words. I don't have that much vocabulary to express the level of унижение. How to say унижение?
Humiliation. You are
Yes.
absolutely right. And this is not just humiliation. This is like, when you live outside of Russia, this whole thing's different and it feels different. Okay, you feel that Putin is a genius strategic guy who will lead Russia to the power, to the glory. And when you come to Russia, when you actually see the conditions which Russians are born to live in, okay, you are like, oh my god, why do you want more territories? You don't know what to do with these ones, so let's do this, let's do that, let's make people lives better. And then they say, hey, listen, you are a monkey, you are here to be paraded, to be shown, and to be shut the fuck up. That's the three things which you need to do here.
Absolutely. Murray Duncan says, oi, oi, mate, cheers from across the ditch. Hello, my friend. Also, Matthew Smilo says, nice tattoos, Sophia. By the way, can you show your amazing tattoos?
Yeah, they're the same. It's the same, right and left. It's just this one is just blackened out, but it's the same pattern. And I also have here, which is, will show me. This is show the same thing, yeah. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, but those will be shown, in different
in the
places.
different sections on the Pornhub, right?
Yeah, for premium subscribers only. All right. So I have my own page on the OnlyFans. Nobody visits it, unfortunately. Yeah. Let's continue with this one. This one is actually not cringy, all right, my friends. This one is actually very, very sad because the Russians recently showcased several videos where they would attach mice to the drones, and here we can see one of the cases that's literally a Russian drone with a mouse attached to it. Okay. And the reason they do that is because they think that this is funny. But what else can we expect from? Actually, it's hard to call them human beings.
Cannibals. Yeah, these are cannibals. They torture people, human beings, and they torture animals. You remember at the beginning of the war, there was a big thing with the cats, right?
Yeah.
With the cat mining, when they used cats in order to draw attention to, and to trick people, to soldiers into this. Correct me if I'm wrong. How do they call them? This mines, they explosives that they. Yeah. This is horrible.
Yeah. So that's something absolutely crazy. However, Russians think that it's like a good joke. They post it all over their Telegram channels. Yesterday, that's again returning to the threat here in Europe. Yesterday, unknown UAVs were spotted over a military base in Belgium, and the fact is, on this military base in Belgium, American nuclear weapons are stored. We're talking about the Kleine Brogel that was used this October as a base for the military exercises of the NATO troops. And that's kind of disturbing. And also this weekend, we're talking basically tonight, Russian Tuapse was improved by good Ukrainian drones, big time. Now we are switching to the most recent updates, all right? Because the attack of Ukrainian drones was absolutely amazing. Again, if we take a look at the map, you can see that there were a lot of them heading towards Russian oil refineries, Russian military facilities, and they attacked Tuapse. There were a lot of pieces of footage, a lot of different videos from Tuapse, specifically this terminal. Let me show it properly. All right, in the bottom here we can see the oil terminal of Tuapse. It's like a bit further than the mainland. All right. So it was attacked big time, and not only the very oil terminal was attacked, but from what we know, even the ships that were docked there were also attacked, and we can see this amazing disco show there at the dock. So we also have a bunch of videos. I hope they come with the sound. Yeah. Kind of dark, I agree, but
we can figure out. It's okay. Yeah, we can figure out.
Yeah, something's happening. That actually looks like a tiny sunrise of freedom over Tuapse.
Very, very true. Kuban. This is a Краснодарский край, Tuapse, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Sochi, Tuapse, that's that area, right?
Yeah. One interesting fact is that Tuapse was attacked several times, as far as I remember, using naval drones, and some of those drones, by the way, were carrying attack drones on top of them. So they had boxes, like specific storage areas, specific containers installed on top of them, containing FPV drones with fiber optic cables. Yeah, and this time apparently the aerial drones were used. So, since 2013, the oil terminal in Tuapse could process approximately 7 million tons of oil per year. Apparently a bit less nowadays. citizens of Krasnodar actually started to use radio stations
Walkie-talkie,
like
yeah.
walkie-talkies.
Я ищу.
Yeah, can you find bread? Her husband says, and the woman says, I'm looking for it. And the reason they are using the walkie-talkies is because they have their mobile internet often turned off because of air alerts in the Russian areas. We know that Russians turn off the mobile internet to somehow suppress Ukrainian drones. And nowadays they do that almost every single day. So we also have information coming from Lipetsk, where good Ukrainian drones improved Russian substation. You can see that on your screens. The Russians are talking about approximately 164 UAVs that were intercepted over the terrorist Russian Federation as well as the occupied territories of Ukraine. And also the other drones, I believe they were intercepted with Russian oil refineries, with Russian oil terminals, and Russian ammo storages. This one is Zheleznogorsk, actually. This is a different oblast. Yeah, that's Kursk. So this place was also visited tonight by good Ukrainian drones. As a result, the good Ukrainian drones brought Russians blackouts and a lot of joy, because now Russians can spend their family evenings, together in the darkness using candles and enjoy romantic atmosphere, which I think they lack big time. All right. So what is this? This is Alchevsk. This is occupied territory of Ukraine. It's a city in the eastern Ukraine. All right, in the we were at the Svetlodarsk. I could see Alchevsk on the horizon, but was it Luhansk? Or like on the border? That's basically very close to the border between Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts of Ukraine that are currently temporarily occupied. Yeah, so we can see things happening there as well. There was a strike on the substation and in the numerous towns of Luhansk, Luhansk Oblast, the electricity disappeared. Looks absolutely inspiring. So what else? Donald Trump in his social media after meeting Xi Jinping of China said that my G2 meeting with President Xi of China was a great one for both of our countries. I cannot comment on that much because I am not an American, all right? I'm not an American citizen, but I can comment on his fucking communication service, all right? Because I hope that they will show at least a bit of meetings with their allies, of commentaries, not only glorifying fucking Orban, fucking Putin, terrorists and everything else, but saying something good and encouraging about his allies in Europe, in the NATO countries, because actually those people that are usually being criticized big time, those people also deserve some respect, and I would really like the spokesperson of the White House, instead of producing mama jokes, actually produce a bit more press releases for her chief, for President Donald Trump, regarding the allies in the NATO and in European countries as well. Right, because this is something that is called improving relations with your friends and allies, that you will be covering each other's ass in case some shit happens, all right?
Yeah, but you forget about something, okay? Like, these mama jokes didn't start yesterday, right? This is just a consequence, or like a logical continuation, you can say so, of you remember back in 2013, okay, the majestic, the huge example of Russian diplomacy when they say, hey, what's Qatar? Where is Qatar? We want, and next day there will be no Qatar on the map. And that's what they say. And it resulted in withdrawing visas for applications for all Russians in Qatar. So I was lucky enough to get there before this whole thing, before he pizdanul things. Okay, I don't know. Seriously, this is a loophole, basically, right? This is something that you like. Okay, and yeah, but mama jokes, this is like, and that's my next question. When did we go, where did we go wrong? How come like now the spokesman of the White House produces or conceives mama jokes with his mouth, yeah, and not some statement, some kind of statement which will be appropriate to hear coming from the White House, to the rest of the world.
I don't know. I literally don't know. Ukrainian training in San Francisco, learn how to speak properly and not like you are uneducated. I'm very, very sorry. I agree on that. I actually curse a lot these days. I cursed much more, of course, when I was in the army, all right? In the army, this is basically the way you talk on a daily basis to people you serve with.
The same innovation.
I completely agree on that. I agree with you. So I gotta, make sure that I use this word not excessively during the streams. I'm very, very sorry for that. So, what else? Blame Andrei, says Miriam.
For everything.
For everything. Let's talk a bit about... I don't really know whether to call it Russian cringe or not. I think we will call it Russian cringe. Because this is something very, very cringy coming from Novaya Tavalzhanka in Belgorod Oblast, where a Russian military, Russian terrorist Alexei Kostrykin broke into a house of local people, killed the husband and raped his wife. He was arrested, but he ran away. And this man here on this picture, oh my god, there's a reason we call them orcs, all right? There's a good reason we call them orcs. So he's actually considered so dangerous. So the Russians are actually involved the governor of Belgorod, Gladkov, who called to raise all the people and find this Russian soldier, all right? And the biggest thing the biggest reason why I'm showing this is because this is happening in Russia a lot, actually. Like, we can see that happening. The very fact that, like, Sophia can confirm, and the very fact that Russia has some of the biggest numbers of prisons and the biggest number of prisoners, of convicts, all right, in the post-Soviet space. But at the same time, the Russians usually say, our boys didn't do that in Bucha. That massacre that took place in Bucha, our boys could not do that. Our boys are so educated. They have such a deep Russian soul and this, amazing Russian microcosmos. Our boys could not do that in Bucha.
Sorry to cut you off. So before I forget, you remember there was a infamous photo taken in Bucha where the graffiti, in the spray paint, it says, I'm sorry for this, but order is order. Yeah. Literally, that's what it says. Простите, ребята, но приказ есть приказ. That's what it said. It's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And they keep, despite all that shit, of course, they will never admit that they did it in Bucha. They know they did it. It was generally like since 2014 until 2022, when Russian regular troops were present all across Donbass, when they were striking peaceful towns on the controlled territory. And they were saying like, no, that's not us. There are no Russians in Donbass. There were never Russians in Crimea and everything else. They knew that they were there. Like everyone knew. It was clear for all the Russian citizens that they participated in all this shit. And also I decided to snatch some some content from Denis Kazansky's Telegram channel. Unfortunately, it's only available in Russian, but if you can translate it, my big advice is to actually follow him, because he actually makes a lot of very, very interesting compilations. This one, for example, Russian so-called veteran who raped a girl and sent her nude pictures to his wife. What the fuck? That's like in Ulyanovsk. That's in Ulyanovsk. 35-year-old Nikolai Gribanov raped a 26-year-old local citizen, and after that he sent her nudes, I think, during the process to his wife. The fuck. Again. So sorry for cursing so much, but. When you check the section of the Russian cringe, it's very, very hard not to. All right. So for example, 32-year-old Russian from Alapayevsk, Sverdlovskaya Oblast, killed 9-year-old in Alkhavatka in Debaltsevo. Debaltsevo is the occupied territory of Ukraine. All right. In 2021, he was tried for and sentenced for raping, but then he participated in the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, and basically he was released to fight and kill Ukrainian people, and he murdered a 9-year-old. So that is basically one of the defenders of the Russian-speaking population here we have, right? One of the liberators of Ukrainian people of Donbass from Ukraine. That's literally one of those. Again,
can you make a vote in order not to be liberated by these people? Huh? I would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, their boys could not do that in Bucha, right? In Altaysky Krai, another so-called veteran of the Russian invasion of Ukraine raped and killed 18-year-old girl. What was his... so, 37-year-old citizen of Troitsk region in Altai murdered 18-year-old girl and took her home. Then he brought her to an empty place on the bank of a river where he raped her, and then he hit her several times and killed her and throw her body in the river. Again, look at this glorious Russian liberator, literally a carrier of the Russian values right there on this photo, my dear friends. Just so you could see that. The people that Tucker Carlson and Scott Ritter admire so much, that's literally the dude over there. So, of course, he has like all this orthodox heavy metal hanging on his neck.
He's in church, man.
Yeah. What else do we have?
Serial killer. Yes, Steve, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In Russia,
Steve is absolutely right. Actually, I'm sorry. There is a delay maybe in the communication. That's why we like. I apologize for that. Sorry. Steve is saying there's a serial killer, and actually you're not far from the truth. Like a few serial killers, people who we can call serial killers because they have 2 killings, which are similar in ways and modus operandi, can call a series. And yeah, this kind of people also present in Russian army nowadays. Correct. Sorry.
Yeah. Last year, I believe, I made this review of freaking satanist who ate a bunch of teenagers and later was released. The editor of Yeralash, remember the dude that was arrested for being a PDF file?
Yes,
Yeah,
there was.
so he was also released from the prison and sent to Ukraine. Yeralash, can you explain what Yeralash is?
Yeah, we had something called a TV. That there was a TV program, okay, for adolescent and for young teenagers. You can say so. It was like very very popular back in the days in the Soviet Union, but it was on the screen for, let's say, 20-30 years. It was that long. It was very very successful, and it launched like a young actors as well as young editors and young screen writers, right? So this basically was one of them. And you can imagine like a adolescent and young teenagers show person appear to PDF file with all related. And yeah, that's something. It's like, you remember that guy from British television, that the blonde guy, the bleach blonde guy who was very very successful, but when he died, there was actually discovered that he was in love with young children and all this. And just because he was very very powerful, no one could say anything. But after he died, that's how it got revealed, and that's horrible.
Absolutely. So this editor of this absolutely fantastic and spectacular show that was aired since the Soviet times, I think that it continued after the collapse of the Soviet Union and everything else. Gary Glitter.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah, so this Russian editor was arrested for molesting a little boy, okay, one of the actors in his show, and he was successfully released. He was all of his sins and everything else was forgiven by Putin because he decided to participate in the war and kill Ukrainian people. And this case, for example, here. In Rostov, actually, another participant of war against Ukraine, Ruslan Shingirey, was actually sentenced. He received life in prison because he raped and murdered an 8-year-old in Stanitsa Olginska in 2024. Fucking 8. I just don't know what to say. Veteran of the war in Ukraine stabbed a woman in Tambov, in Tambovskaya Oblast, in Pokrova-Marfina. Another Russian carrier of Russian values and Russian Orthodox faith and everything else returned home and brutally murdered a 40-year-old Russian citizen, Nelia Afanasieva. So that's another case. Again, one interesting remark here says that not a single media say that he came from the war and now he is on a vacation. The friend of this woman who was murdered, he says, I'm afraid that he might get released. Okay, and how exactly can he get released? Of course, he can sign another freaking contract and go to war and get released from prison. It's as easy as that. All right. So, Russian liberators, Russian defenders of oppressed Russian-speaking people of Donbass. That's literally what all the supporters of the Russian terrorism, not only in Russia but also on the West, that are the kind of people that they admire. All right, all sorts of supporters of this terrorism, including those who wear red hats. All right, including those people who say that we should be friends with Russians. We can learn so much from them. We can go and check out their beautiful, amazing subways and stuff like that. Their way of life. the Western world is so rotten, so we gotta go to beautiful Russia and just enjoy freedom of speech, and beautiful family values in Russia. That is just so amazing. That's exactly what they can do. Holy fuck! Like literally, I'm trying to stop cursing, but I just
How can
can't.
you?
I'm sorry. So let's finish our small update with just a few more news. All right. First of all, Russians are very, very mad because of the fuel prices in the terrorist federation. The fuel prices are growing like crazy. Here, for example, we can see that 5 liters of whatever, 5 liters of whatever cost cost 419 rubles, which is $4 basically.
82
Yeah, what was the price before the
comes to nearly $1.
yeah. What was the price before the shortage? Something like
Oh, yeah. Basically, when I look, when I was in Qatar, we had it like in 30 cents. And the fuel was very, very cheap, and that's why we took advantage of it. We're like, cruising like crazy around the country, which, you could do that back in the day. And then prices went higher and higher, and we ended up and $1.50. First it was a 9 cents, and then it was $1.50, as everywhere else, basically. So before that in Russia it was the same, basically 50 cents or 30 cents to 50 cents. When I came to Qatar, it was back in 2012. I was actually comparing the prices, and I was actually amazed. And in Iran, it was like, I was in Iran, I've been to Iran, it was 2016 or 2014 or 2000, like something like that, like about 10 years ago anyway. And the prices were a little higher, and that's where I got also surprised, like, hey, country producing oil, and still, it's still prices a little higher.
yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like everywhere else, it's $1.50, and now it's like came to, I'm not sure which which gasoline this is, which sort of gasoline, but it comes to nearly $1. Yeah.
Yeah, just so people could understand. First of all, I don't know why Russians are nagging, because in Germany, for example, you have petrol that costs like 140, 160, 170, between 140 and 170, but that's euro, all right, per liter. So Russians should not really nag, because comparatively to European countries, of course, the fuel prices in Russia are smaller, but there is a tiny caveat here, all right, because Russian salaries are also lower. And for example, if you are a fan of Tucker Carlson, you might probably think that Russian pensioners receive as much as your pensioners somewhere in Germany, France, or United States or Canada, which is not the case. In Russia, the average pension, all right, is like roughly $300 or something like that.
At most.
Yeah, at most, because generally lower, generally like $270 per month, my friends. Consider also the utilities, all sorts of expenditures that you have, and basically this explains why they have cheap food that Tucker Carlson was so much impressed. At the same time, Tucker Carlson himself, during recording of that masterpiece, all right, in the French Ashan in Moscow, he actually spent the monthly pension, all right, on that shit that he bought, a bunch of pumpkins, cereal and stuff. He actually spent a monthly pension of a Russian person only for that crap. Okay, so that's basically the explanation why the Russian petrol costs approximately $1 a liter now, and you can pretty much understand that the prices increased almost threefold. all right, in the terrorist federation. And one of the Russian gas stations, the franchises, actually explains. Oля Sherbo, the Russian user there in the media, she says, what the fuck is going on? 95th petrol, 86 rubles. 86 rubles, and the gas station explains there in the comments, they say, we understand 86 rubles per liter sounds as if we brought this petrol using white bears through all the tundra with orchestra and music and stuff like that, but unfortunately this is reality of year 2025. Between the line, of course, I would also add blame Putin for this, all right, there's like only one person to blame for that. So the average price for the 95th petrol in the gas stations is approximately 93,000 rubles per ton, or 93,000, that is 930 rubles per ton, dollars per ton. But there are also cases 68, 69 rubles per liter and blah blah blah. Add 8-9 rubles for logistics to Murmansk Oblast, and you will have 67, 68 rubles. That is just its own value, all right, without added value. So that's basically what they say. They say that it looks very strange, of course. Someone is trading and losing money, actually, you know, selling you petrol. So just cope, dear Russian citizens, just cope and everything will be fine. I think it's beautiful, all right? I ran out of coffee already, but I think it's very, 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 very impressive, you know, the fact that this dude, wait a second, let me find his freaking face. Where was it? Like this dude here, all right? This dude on your screen, covering you right now. He was very, very mad the other day in the video that we were reviewing. He was very, very mad. Like, you're selling petrol 70 rubles. Are you crazy? Are you mad? You should all be punished. And now we can see cases when it costs like 80, and it's not the limit, all right? It will be better, all right? It will be much better very, very soon, which makes me absolutely happy.
Sky is the limit.
Yeah. All right, and we have two more updates. One of the updates is showing this amazing strike on the Russian substation in Usman, Lipetsk, all right? So this very area was fucked, all right? In Ontario, Canada, we pay $1.35 for regular gas. First, it's a Canadian money, all right? Wait, what's the course between Canadian dollars and US dollars?
Yeah, I would say we can keep it 1-to-1, but anyway,
yeah,
the conditions.
Yeah, at the same time, friends, I understand that the fuel prices grew like dramatically, all right? Dramatically. Let's even assume that the exchange rate is like 1-to-1, but at the same time, people in Russia don't have such quality of life, level of life, all right, as people western from, you know, to the west from the Russian Federation. They don't have that. People in Baltics immediately, all right, immediately next to Russia, they receive much higher salaries and much higher pensions. If you think that people receiving $1,000 a month in Russia is a common thing, no. No, it's like if you receive $1,000 in Russia, that is considered extremely successful job, actually. Like you're lucky, yeah. So the standards are absolutely different, friends. And now the Russian fuel prices are slowly approaching the fuel prices in your countries. So I don't know what to compare this to. Like a pensioner in Germany might receive anything between €1,500 to €3,000, depending on where you worked. If you had like a very good, for example, employment, you could have, let's say, €3,000 per month. Russians receive 10 times less, all right? And that is something that they consider freaking successful pension. So that's the difference, and that is something that Canada-based pension, see me email says Canada-based pension, $2,000 a month.
Good, considering you don't have to pay mortgage, hopefully, yeah. You don't have to like roam around much, so you don't have to spend much money on the car and gasoline. So yeah, it's decent actually, even considering the rates for the products and everything. But in Russia, it's not like that. $2,000 is 200,000 rubles. I had this salary when I was working back in 2018 in Airbridge. So I was the head of department. So you can imagine this was my salary basically.
Yeah.
So pension, let me tell you. In Rostov, okay, somebody told me, my grandma, okay, don't go far. It was back in 2015, but anyway, she received something like 10,000 rubles at that time, where dollar was 13 rubles. So you can say $300. And this was like a come on advanced. She was working like 40 years on the paramilitary factory, so she got the real deal, allegedly, yeah. But anyway, $300 only, all yours.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, usual salary, for example, a cashier somewhere in Ashan would be probably around $600-700 in best case.
Mm.
In very best case, if it's not only like a cashier in Ashan, but very good cashier, maybe like a nephew of a director, or right, of this Ashan grocery store, and I don't know, with lots of privileges. So $600-700 a month, that is like average salary there. And also, again, all sorts of utilities, all sorts of expenditures. That's very cool to know. So, Sarah, can you talk about the partisan resistance movement in Mordor? Are some Ukrainians part of it? 100%. There are, for example, Crimean Tatars that are Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian at the same time. A lot of them are involved in Russian military, and a lot of them provide actually very, very vital intelligence data to Ukrainian forces. The guys from Atesh, again, the legendary people who literally just, I don't know, they walk into the Putin's bunker and go like, this is like where he draws vaginas, or right on the wall, this is where he sleeps, this is where he poops. They are absolutely legendary. I think even one street in, a street in Kyiv was named after the partisans of Atesh. Maybe not in Kyiv, but in some of Ukrainian cities, the town hall. Yeah, the city hall decided to name the street after those guys. They completely deserve that, absolutely. What else? Of course, I know that quite a few Russians ideologically supporting Ukraine, and also quite a few of Russians recruited by Ukrainian intelligence and different other services. They also help big time, because generally people who are just a bit more sober, than general population in the Terrorist Federation, they don't like the situation there, they don't support that shit, and that is why they're also involved in, for example, all those cases when you see, like Vladivostok, a railway station was effed up because some brave people decided to burn the equipment on this rail station and things like that. So those guys are local, like Russian nationals, but at the same time, of course, Ukrainians are also involved. Good case is Atesh movement, the Crimean Tatar, Ukrainian Crimean Tatars, and I believe that
There are more. There are definitely more.
yeah.
You remember those arsons of military, this not TCK, they don't call them TCK, военкоматы, commissions, committees, sorry.
Draft offices, yeah.
Draft offices, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, there were like multiple arsons conducted in Russia by locals. I understand that their motives could be different. They may be not directly involved, maybe, may not be, right? Allegedly, yeah, involved in the Ukrainian resistance and everything. But the thing is, like, no human being, sober enough to understand what's going on wants to go to army to fight against Ukraine, because there is no reason for that. There is no reason whatsoever. And that's the thing. If you understand that, okay, fine, like what exactly am I fighting for? I had friends actually who were forced to go to army. They were mobilized, no option. They were taken, like you said, like in the terms of the horror movie, okay, this detective movie, when they come, take you out of your bed, okay, bring you over to the office, and then send you over to the training camp. Okay, so that was exactly like that. And my only advice to them was, you have numbers. I gave them numbers of SBU, of the Linia Davira, yeah, this lines where they can call and report their location and say, hey, I don't want to participate in this mess anymore, so take me out. And they do, actually. I know that they do so. And yeah, and this was my only advice to them: give up. But not directly, because of course your parties, okay, will try to stop you, and everyone else will try to stop you. So but the only advice to Russian people who are forced to stay in the army, to be in the army, just like get the numbers and give up.
Yeah. Ukraine has like a hotline for Russian soldiers.
Yeah,
actually, we established it early when the war, when the full-scale invasion started, but also before that, because we had several programs. For example, for collaborationists who worked with Russian terrorists during the hybrid phase of the war between 2014 and 2022, they could actually participate, and even if they committed different crimes, they would be like partially pardoned for that. When I was a cop, when we worked in Donbass in 2015, my God, it was Krasnohorivka, Marinka. So we detained several folks like that. One of them, by the way, came from Russia himself, like literally. He lived in Ukraine since 2008, and he was involved in like sharing intelligence and shit like that with the Russian side. But he applied to this program, and he was pardoned. He had a trial. He received some probation. Let's call it this way. All right, so they still can report and get pardoned, but the Russian invaders who actually realize that they don't want to die, okay, they don't want to turn into a fertilizer for Ukrainian pumpkins, they can literally call the hotline, and they will receive all necessary instructions on how to survive, all right, how to go to the Ukrainian side, how to receive protection, all right, from Ukrainian state, and basically survive. And later they have a lot of choices. They can easily either stay in Ukraine or travel abroad, or they can join, for example, one of the units of Russian freedom fighters, like Legion Freedom for Russia, or Russian Voluntary Corps, or Siberian Battalion, and they can continue fighting against the Russian invaders, and basically after that they will receive plenty of benefits. So That is a very, very good and actually proper way for the Russians who come to Ukraine, who got either mobilized or decided that they simply want to survive. That's something that they can actually do. So kudos to you, Sophia, by the way, for providing those guys with with the necessary information. And we have the most recent updates coming from Port Kavkaz in Kerch Strait, where a Russian tugboat actually was observed smoking, smoking heavily. I think that Russians should probably stop smoking mahorka in such amounts at some point, because it's very, very bad for their health. All right. So I think that it's got improved. I'm not sure if any Ukrainian drone was involved, maybe tiny drone, who knows. But smoke kills. Smoke definitely kills. Whew! All right, we made it. We made it in under 2 hours. That was so good. Let's check out some of the commentaries. Oh, yeah, Beep, that is literally Russian barbecue. Where is Dumb Trump? I miss him. I miss him too, but wasn't he in the chat, by the way? I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't me mentioned the name of this program. It's called I Want to Live, Я хочу жить. And Russians can use that hotline. They actually use it a lot, making their mothers happy. And I'm talking about the mothers that actually value their kids. Paul Stelmach says, let's do collaboration, y'all. I soon will have more time. Absolutely, my friend. Let's do that. Paul Stelmach, Sophia, that's my good friend and colleague from UATV. We often stream together, and he has a lot of very, very cool insights, by the way, just like you.
Cool.
Yeah, he recently went to Azerbaijan. No, wait, he recently went to Armenia, and they didn't let Ukrainians into Georgia. How crazy is that?
They didn't let Ukrainians into Georgia? Is that something recent or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, wow. You know, I had a very interesting case, actually. My friend from States, okay, he's a veteran of Iraq, I guess, war, and he's very intelligent and very, educated in the sense of he has been military for all his life, so he is educated in the military sense, and since he has a lot of experience, he used to go to Ukraine at some point. Okay,
just a second, just put it on pause. We have Mercado raiding this channel like crazy there in the comments. Hello, my brother, how are you? I hope that everything's fine. I miss you, bro, and we gotta play something together. Absolutely. Mercado raids. Yeah, please continue.
So yeah, and he told me that I asked him when he was coming to Ukraine after the whole war started, and he was like, there's an interesting thing. I actually made it to Georgia, and at some point I was told that my services are not needed for Ukraine. So I had to leave the country, and I was like, whoa, why?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, Mercado is taking over my chat. Oh my God, please do, brother. Oh my God, so happy to see. One time, Mercado actually passed me like this huge freaking bag full of, was it Dr. Pepper? I think Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew. In Ukraine, we don't have Mountain Dew, unfortunately, and he passed me like this huge freaking bag full of it, and I finished it like within a week or something. Yeah. The coolest thing about the Mountain Dew is that compared to all other drinks, it contains the biggest amount of sugar, which is basically my drug. All right, so I was so happy. I was literally sitting and counting my teeth, literally falling out of my mouth after that. I was the happiest Ukrainian National Guardsman ever that day. So what else do we have? The True Gamer Fuel, absolutely. And By the way, what do we have? We have Mercado. We gotta try. You know what? GTA 5, 5M role play. We gotta play with. We gotta play for cops. All right. We gotta play for cops, for like true cops, the way the cops should behave. All right, nowadays. Silver Earth, by the way, says I always curse. I cannot talk without cursing, which it's I don't know. It's a bad habit. All right, like if you curse, it should be in a proper moment. All right, it should be performed in a proper moment. Because otherwise it's just so bad. I don't know. I gotta do something with cursing. It's crazy.
Every time you curse, God kills a kitten.
Yeah. I fucking love kittens. I gotta do something to that. It's inappropriate. I completely agree with you, my dear friends. But at the same time, sometimes emotions are just so overwhelming. So Mercado, it's so cool, bros. So cool that you are here. I miss you big time. We gotta go to a Georgian restaurant sometime when you're around or when I'm around, 100%. So what else do we have? Gunnar, good morning. Good morning. Good
It's
morning.
okay. They'll understand.
Yeah, again, situation snafu, when all 5 languages that you speak, like 4 languages you speak and the 5th language that you learn, everything is like mixed
true.
up. It's crazy. Which languages do you know, by the way, besides English, Russian, Ukrainian?
English, Russian, Ukrainian. I know some phrases in Arabic, in Dutch, and that's it basically. In German, I used to learn it at school. I still remember something, but not a lot. Basically, English is what you need for the modern society and for the modern communication.
Actually, yeah, like you as a person who worked in the aviation, that's basically the international language used everywhere. All right, if you are a pilot who doesn't know English language, that's like it's not an excuse. You gotta speak English. Sarah asks if Georgian food similar to Turkish. Actually, Georgian food is similar to Georgian, like maybe just a bit, but like I don't know, like they have hachapuri. Hachapuri you will not find anywhere else. They have hinkali, which again you will not find anywhere else. Suluguni cheese.
You will Lebanese. You will. They have something like that. I mean, yeah, I know some kind. And sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Teal says salam alaikum, Sophia alaikum assalam, kifak.
I cannot speak Arabic. I can curse in Persian, by the way. I learned it myself. My lady didn't teach me. Yes, swearing is an art you have to master 100%. 100%. English, yes, English is a universal language in aviation industry, and like wherever you go, that's like it's a must. You need to speak English. I tried to teach my guys back when I served in my brigade. When I was a sergeant, I tried to teach my guys English language, and actually, the guys that meet me years after that, they still say like, "Dude, I can still remember some things," like because. We were preparing for the mutual military exercises within a multinational brigade. It was 2016. And because it was crucial to actually understand what our colleagues are saying, I taught the guys how to properly identify target. For example, they would say like contact 12 o'clock, 300 meters, and I taught them like the basic things, like not like Hello, my name is Vasil. I come from Khmelnytsky. I love anime and ice cream. No, you have some specific knowledge, right? You can properly identify, for example, a grenade launcher, a machine gun, things like that. So I taught them how to speak those things. How to, like, this is kulamet, this is a machine gun, all right? So they would identify them and report them in English. And my guys were very, very successful, actually, because instead of just, teaching them how to speak, express your thoughts, I taught them how to identify things and like the basics that are used, for example, in radio communications. So whatever they say on the radio, everyone may understand, and that was just so cool. Oh my god. I have no idea how I came up with this solution, but what else? English is made compulsory in Ukrainian schools now. Yeah, actually it is. I remember back in my days, like 1996, when I studied in the school, we had English and Russian. Russian was also like, I'm not sure if it was compulsory, but we had it, all right, in my school. And since 2010s, Russian actually disappeared from Ukrainian schools because English is a priority now. I also told our guys how to use English in any situation, all right? Like, you gotta learn several phrases, like "my name is," all right? If you want to introduce yourself, I see and I love blank as much. I love blank so much, so I cannot express my feelings. So, for example, you go to like a bar with your colleagues from a different country, with Italians, for example, and everybody goes like, "I'm Vittorio, I'm Gianluigi," you go, "I am Vasya." Okay, so they go, "Vasya, like, I am from, I don't know, I am from like Verona Brigade," all right? You go, "I see." All right, and they go like, "Oh shit, you know English, that's so cool." And then they ask you something like, for example, "What do you think about this military exercise?" And you gotta understand like the key word, military exercise, and you say, "I like this military exercise so much, so I cannot express my feelings." And like, actually, all of my guys learned that. And they go, "Fuck, that dude is so good in English," and and then they keep talking like, "Do you want beer?" You like, "We want more beer." You go, "I see." They go like, "Do you want I don't know, tequila?" You go, "I like tequila so much, so I cannot express my feelings." And like, you go on like that. So you literally learn 3 phrases, and they are absolutely universal. You can apply them anywhere.
That's true. By the way, the Center for Military Concerns in Modern Wars is asking, Sophia, did you just say your friend was U.S. military that had his service declined by UA? Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying.
What Ukrainian phrases do you think should be compulsory for English speakers? Ooh. So, you can learn how to express your emotions, all right? So, for example, in Ukrainian language, you can say "трясся," all right? And "трясся" is a good exclamation word, all right? A good space filler. So, for example, if something bad happens, you go, "Oh, трясся," all right? If something good happened, for example, somebody brings you like a big pot of borscht, you go "трясся," like with this happy expression. So "трясся" can be the word. What else? Sophia, help me here.
Okay, "трясся," as far as I understand, this is more like a Western Ukraine feature, right? Not like a.
Widely popularized by me, all right, during my service, and my presence in the military media in Ukraine since 2014 to 2024, highly popularized by me. So chess is now everywhere in Ukraine.
Okay. So it's universal now. Okay, that's fine. In Ukrainian, I would say, yeah, if we leave behind these Russisms, like we call them, like words with a Russian origin, that's basically no. Ukrainian language is not like supposed to be cursed, used for cursing. You know, like in Russian, you can express your like cursing like quite well. Yeah, it's to the point. It's in some words, but Ukrainian language is not structured for that. And that's very nice, actually. It's and Belarusian language is even like like all Slavic languages except Russian are very very cute. Like they say like. So you're not supposed to curse in them.
Yeah. So trasya, like, you can use it as a curse. You can speak it if there's like kids around easily. So it's appropriate word. And yeah, and it's also cute because first of all, you can literally destroy your tongue while pronouncing it. All right, trasya, that's like it's easier to pronounce than palanitsa, but at the same time, I don't know. What else? What else can we teach people here? So one thing that people already know, all right, when you talk to Ukrainians, you say, for example, "I'm from Washington Oblast." And Ukrainians freaking love this. I don't know why, but this word oblast. Like people know that actually. Like every time the chat starts and people go like, "I'm from New Zealand Oblast," I'm from like Liverpool Oblast and stuff like that. Ukrainians just love it for some reason I cannot explain. Like when you say, "Hello, I come from Japan Oblast," Ukrainians will just laugh and hug you and stuff. I don't know why it's so cute. Yeah, but that's something that makes Ukrainians happy. What else?
Now, there's a song, Ken 35 said that song Magic of Hui, or How to Learn Russian by Albatross, part of the lyrics I like. Huilo asked the Ukrainians, who is it? Basically, like sort of funny story. This French song, Alona Dust, конечно, of course, everyone knows it. It can be translated actually from French, like "we'll keep dancing," like "keep dancing tonight," like and all this. And when I asked my Tunisian friend, he's French speaking, like we were sitting actually, me and my Ukrainian friends and Tunisian friends, and he was asking like, "Guys, do we know this song?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I know this song." He's like, "How do you translate it?" And he said like, "It's keep dancing." And we told him how it's translated in this part of the world. He was like laughing his ass off. He's like, "Well, if you think about it, it's something similar, someone in the same direction." So Alona Dust means I will get this girl, or this girl will be mine, something like that. Like this particular girl, Alona, which he's talking about. Yeah, I mean, allegedly talking about. But of course, it's like nowhere in original. It's but you can say that keep dancing and this girl will be mine. It's somewhere in the same direction.
Yeah. Gunnar asks Ali, how would you rate Dovboyob? Dovboyob is like this is my favorite curse in Ukrainian. Of course, you cannot say it when, for example, kids are around, all right, because you don't want to give a bad example. But Dovboyob is some of the most widespread curses in Ukrainian army, for example. Довбойоб і Яхуй його знає. That's literally two curses that Ukrainians in the army use all the time. Like, for example, why doesn't this tank start? Яхуй його знає, and you say it's because you are довбойоб, and that's basically how we speak in Ukrainian army all the time. Besides outside cameras and polite people, Silver Earth says Texas Oblast. Texas is the most beautiful oblast in the United States to me personally, and I will explain. It's because Angry Bear, we will return to your question just a bit later. It's because when I was a tiny kid and I received, like, we bought the very first computer in our family, we installed this DVD-ROM, all right? And one of the first DVDs that I had, one for some reason, I don't know, was like Mothers Against Drink Driving. That's something I remember, like with a lot of different videos dedicated to the topic. And the other one was Discover Texas, all right? And I remember that one of the very first, let's say, folk American songs, all right, that I learned was "Oh, give me a home where the buffaloes roam, and the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word." But you gotta sing it with the proper accent. "And the skies are not cloudy all day." So that's one of the songs that are very dear to me, and that is why I've never been to Texas, but I love it so much. So that's some of the memories that I have, since my childhood. All right, so Angry Bear, how many vowels are there in Ukrainian language?
10, 11.
Did you check?
10 or 11, something like that. Something that's. Let's check.
Let's. My God. What kind of Ukrainian am I if I don't remember how many vowels we have? Like
Alphabet. Let's see. 10 vowels, 33 letters, 21 consonants, 1 semi-vowel, 10 vowels, and 1 palatalization sign. Palatalization.
And the apostrophe.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite Ukrainian vowel is Y letter. Y letter that looks like I, only with 2 dots. All right, it's very cool, actually.
And Hank Hill is from Texas, guys. What else do we know from Texas about Texas?
Oh, what else do we know? Texan barbecue, all right? Texan steak is something, again, that I want to actually experience myself, because everybody's saying that is like the coolest thing ever, all right? The coolest thing in the world. I gotta check if it's true, all right? So one time I will... "Home on the Range is the Kansas State song in the States." I've heard it I've heard it on the Texas CD-ROM, so that's blame those guys. Twice as many vowels as really?
Really? A, E, I, O,
U,
Y, U, 6.
yeah.
Guys, help us, please. How many vowels does the English have?
That's interesting.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas and Ukraine are the same the same size in land mass. Yeah, that's something that I've heard too. Ukraine is 660 square kilometers. I'm sorry, I don't know how much, in the imperial numbers that is. Yeah, but Ukraine is 660 plus square kilometers.
What's the population in Texas? It's like considering 40 million in Ukraine. Let's consider that, yeah? So what is the population in Texas? It would be interesting to know.
Yeah, by the way.
Let's see. Population in Texas. Of Texas. As of mid-2024, the population of Texas is approximately 31.3 million. So it's similar. Nice.
And now, the fun fact is that Texas, the size of Ukraine and the population of around Ukraine, has the budget that is bigger in this biggest country in the world called Russia. Like, that says a lot, actually.
J.R. Nugent said, why is a semi-vowel not vowel? Oh, wow. I didn't know. Thank you. Thank you. Is it in English or in some other language? Because people in chat, they're discussing about different languages. Would be interesting to know.
Why are you talking about why? So why is a semi-vowel? Because it can be used as Ukrainian letter Y, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in I.
Interesting. In Arabic, as far as I know, they have a similar structure of the language as they have in Russian. That's why, like Arabic guys, like Arabic people in general, they click with Russian language. Actually, it's easier for them to learn it. They have the same. When we have like girls on girl on the horse, right? When you there are different ways to say it in Russian and as well as in Arabic. So like girls in horses. So they have this. So there's a lot of like language constructions like that, and yeah, it's also very interesting.
I don't know about Arabic. I know that in Persian, which by the way Arabic is based on. That's something that I was impressed to learn. So in Persian they have actually two vowels. That's U and E. Sorry, I'm lying. So they have four. They have U, E, A, O, and they survive somehow. Like I know, and they have so many consonants actually, something like 30 plus 33, 36. Yeah, but they have four vowels and they survive. But what impresses me, that's something that we are laughing over with my lady all the time. They have three letters for H, all right, and they have two letters for S, which I don't understand why. And when she says, don't say how, say how, I'm like, well, what is the difference? She's like, because how and how are different words. Like the ha is different. I'm like, no, it's the same. Because in Ukrainian, if you say somebody, if you say Kharkiv, and Kharkiv, that's the same fucking word. Like it doesn't matter, all right? But I just pronounced it in three different ways. Yeah, but in Ukrainian, it doesn't matter, which is something very, very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and in Arabic it's the same thing. Like my colleague, his name was Allah. That's is essential basically for them. And I was like, yeah, Allah. I'm not Allah. What difference does it make?
Yeah, absolutely. Like to me, it's so hard. Like she's like, can you say this word? I'm like, wait, what was that? There was some name. Wait a second, I gotta remember. Fuck. Like we had like almost a quarrel around this name because I was like Hassan or no. Anyways, like it was so funny. We were talking about this for 2 hours straight. I tried to prove that in Ukrainian language, that is literally the same. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah, but it's very like, and the difference is so huge. For example, when you say Shahed, you cannot say Shahed, it's Shahed, or exactly. Vice versa. Yeah.
Correct.
And
Yeah, Mr. Daniel Miller is asking Allah. No, Mr. That's the thing. That's exactly the thing because Allah is Allah. Yeah, and Allah is Allah, and you got the right. You got that right.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. You gotta use like those tiny. There's a lot of nuances in the language, and it's that is why it's so hard to me. For example, in Persian language, in Farsi, it's very easy to unintentionally like curse somebody, you know, and that is something that I'm so much afraid of. It's for example, when you give someone a cat and you say this is this cat is Maine Coon, a Persian person will start laughing like crazy because Coon is the S, all right? Or for example, when you say there's like sinus, cosinus, tangents, all right, in the geometry. So Persian teachers are very shy to say cosinus because cos means what the Putin drew on the whiteboard in the school, basically, and they look very shy when they pronounce that because kids start laughing immediately. So I just call them shithead drones. Daniel says, yeah, absolutely, and there is a difference between shahed and shahid actually, which my lady tried to explain me somehow. Shahid, that's actually name. Something that I thought, I thought that Shahed is the way they pronounce Shahid, but that's actually a different thing. That's a name with a different ha, of course, and everything else. Yeah, so when in Ukraine we have a lot of beautiful words like apricot, abrikos, or like braid, right? Kosa, kosi. When you pronounce that next, and Persian person stands next to you, you will see them laugh like crazy. All right. Yeah, there is a Coles Bay, Oregon. Yeah. There's so many. My God. So Russian name Kirill will be also extremely laughable, for example. Yeah, because Kir means the opposite, of course. Kir is like the dick, all right, and that's why they. Yeah.
They have like a brand, Iranians. I mean, there is a brand of cottage cheese or some kind of cheese in Tehran. It's called Kir. And when I was in Tehran, I was roaming the supermarket and I saw this, and I was like, the guy was laughing at this. Like, do you know what it means? And no, I was like, that's what it means.
Yeah. Cosmos. Yeah. The other day, I said I spoke this word, and my lady was laughing so bad because of that. Yeah. So now you know. For example, Kirov, city of Kirov, right, also makes them laugh like crazy. So those are things that you can keep in mind, all right, just in case.
Yeah, did you know that there is a particular language we speak in Rostov? Did you know that?
No.
No? Okay. So you mentioned apricots, okay? So do you know how Rostovites call apricots? Basically, there is a word is zhardyola, okay? And zhardyola is being understood like within the eastern Ukraine. So I have friends from Luhansk, and they comprehend it. They know what it is, yeah? And there's another word that is zhardyola и tutina. Tutina is tutovnik. That is this kind of berry which we have like around this part of the world, but we call it like this. And again, Eastern Ukrainians, they understand that, but Ukrainians don't generally. So that's you can actually tell which part of Ukraine person actually is, because I mean, from my perspective, because considering on how they understand certain words. That's very
That's
easy.
interesting. I remember 2014 when Russians invaded Donbass, when Strelkov and everybody else started like capturing Ukrainian police stations and everything else. I remember there was this very, very specific video footage of like those anonymous, of like green men, all right, in Donbass, and they were taking over some administration. And one of them looked at the people that were making a video, and he said, "Отойдите за поребрик, step behind the curb, all right?"
The cook,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, in Ukraine, nobody says поребрик. Like, it's
It's from
not.
St. Petersburg, exactly. It's from St. Petersburg. They say this way. We in Rostov, in this, like nowhere in Russia, people say this word anymore. I mean, not
Yeah.
anymore. Like in general, it's just that their word. Поребрик and then булочная. They have certain accent they speak with, and then shaverma, of course, shaverma, because normally it's shawarma in Moscow and shaverma is in Peter. But people who used to be in Fido, like that old network from back then, so they know this, and they are most like when they like hear shawarma, they start laughing because they actually didn't know where it comes from. But yeah, this is like a big thing in Russia. You can tell like by pronunciation, by the word and people use, which part of Russia they're actually from. Very very useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fido, oh my God, I remember what Fido was. And when you said Fido, I felt like, mustache growing under my nose and beard and all that is like very, very white. I felt like I'm 1,000 years older than I am. So one thing that a Dutch friend of an Iranian origin taught me actually in Iranian language. If you want to learn some very, very cool Iranian phrase, is Mark Bar Hamenei. That is
Mark Khamenei.
yeah,
What does it mean?
death to Hamenei, and that is something we can all learn and share. All right, that's a very, very good
What does
quote.
it mean? You forgot to say.
Death to Hamenei.
Death to Khamenei. Oh. That's
Yeah.
nice. But I was actually amazed when I learned that some like common words which I know they came from Persian, like baton, bilet. There was something else, zabor, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And
Душ,
yeah, so
стакан, чай,
Takan,
чайник. Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, they have a lot. And again, a lot in Ukrainian language, sharavar, same. Yeah, a lot of those words are common because our part of the world, we're talking specifically Ukraine, was populated by this very big movement coming from Indo-Iranian part of the world and meeting the Celtic movement coming from the western part of the world. So they all collided in Ukrainian territory, and Ukrainian Tripilian, Indo-Iranian and Celtic cultures, and the Scandinavian culture, by the way, as well, big time. They all collided in Ukraine. That is why we have such a crazy mix. All
That's
right.
right, but it was also heavily influenced by Greece, by ancient Greece. Our region, I'm talking about east of Ukraine and Rostov region, right? It had several ancient Greek settlements, including Tanais, and of course, and it's still heavily influenced by Greece. When we are like and then they had Cossacks coming from everywhere. Basically, they were settling there. It was actually, did you know a fun fact that people think that this Cossack movement was only started back in like 17th century, when it started back in during the time of Ivan the Terrible, when people from Russia, actually from the territory of Russia, actually all ran down to Don, like they said, like a river Don, to avoid the slavery. No one who didn't want to be a slave, they were bound to go to these territories because there was no one there, and this were a southern borderline basically. And there was Azov, of course, the fortress Azov, which they took back in 1699, I guess, or 1690, something like that, by Peter the Great. And yeah, and it was already there. Cossacks were already there.
Yeah, but they were there even before that because the Parisian siege was established around 10th century or something like that, if I'm not
That is
mistaken.
yeah, like correct. But this is like a different movements.
Yeah.
But like of course, and it could be it. But like what I heard, it dates back to Ivan the Terrible, at least organized in the way we know it now. Yeah.
Yeah, because Cossack movement was so widespread. It's like it engulfs a lot of culture, like Turk Tatar culture as well, like the Sharavars and everything else. The haircut and everything. At the same time, they were Orthodox. They were Ukrainian Orthodox, and they were very interesting. But at the same time, there were, of course, Catholic Cossacks because there was a so-called Rejestrovo Kazatstvo that was a part of Ukrainian military caste, the Cossacks that were serving with Poland. And of course, there were a lot of Catholics there. So that's something very, very interesting. Very interesting. So we have... do you think in 1,000 years this war will be spoken about? Probably, yeah. If we survive 1,000 years, maybe, yeah. Maybe we will see something absolutely much more horrifying than that. Maybe not. I really hope that this will be the last world war that the humankind is fighting.
Hopefully, seriously. But that's what I'm thinking. That's why do we still have wars? Considering what we know, like why don't we have a chess tournaments? Why don't we have a beauty tournaments? Why don't we have any kind of tournaments? Let's make a tournament. Let's get like the prettiest ladies from your countries, the most powerful fighters from your countries. Let's get MMA. But for God's sake, let's not make all this.
Lars in the comments says, to all community, my ma, 82 years, sends her warm greetings to you all. She has never experienced a live stream or even just YouTube on a computer. My sincere hugs and much love to your ma. I hope that everything's fine there. Basically, I think the whole community, there's 482 people watching us right now, are sending their best wishes and greetings to you and your mom. That's so cool, by the way. Oh my God. Again, I gotta curse a little bit less. I agree. I admit this.
We have some decent ladies watching you, huh?
Absolutely. Not only that, because I remember I met someone in the Netherlands. No, it wasn't in the Netherlands. It was, I think, in the chat somewhere. Someone said that actually their students are watching me. And I was like, for a brief moment, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I gotta curse less. And I didn't curse for several streams, at least. Yeah, I agree. Okay, guys, let's do this. I will not curse at least until 2nd of December this year. All right?
Whoa. And if
I do, I don't know. What will be the proper punishment? How do you think?
I would like. Well, I know. You can tell us the Virsh. I forgot the
a poem.
English word. I forgot the English word. Seriously, Virsh.
Poem.
In Persian.
A poem in Persian.
Learn and tell.
Oh my God, that will be so hard. Okay.
Four lines, but just in order to make it, like difficult for you to stumble on some difficulties. Yeah, so you know that this person will bring you more difficulties in life. That's it. The 4 lines will be enough.
All right. Actually, I think even a poem in like Norwegian would be even. Yeah, because on my birthday, the friends were like throwing different words, in the chat, like the crazy words, and I tried to pronounce them, and it was freaking hard. All right, it was freaking hard.
Yeah. That'll work too.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Tried actually said, I mentioned my kid watches you and you took down your learn to curse in Ukrainian video store. Yeah. Yeah, probably that was you. But also someone said that they're like students watch my streams, which was flipping hilarious.
That's nice. Oh, by the way, speaking of Norwegian, okay, what do you think? Why do you think Mr. Varg Vikersen turned away from like common sense and turned to Mr. Russia and Mr. Putin?
Can you explain?
I don't have any actual explanation. I have a theory, okay, but yeah, seriously. I mean, this guy had been in prison for all his life, basically. Yeah, since early 2000 or early 90s, I think. Yeah, that's how that long. And maybe he has some, you know, image in his head which is no longer in place in reality. But I don't know. Like he's a traditionalist, right? And like just like Ted Kaczynski. And all these beautiful people, yeah, but that Kaczynski happily, luckily didn't survive till now. But this guy did. Yeah, and now actually like he's traditionalist, all right, and he wants to like traditions values, set up traditions values, traditional like way of life and everything else, okay, but why do you need to kill people for that? That's what I cannot explain it, seriously, it's out of my mind. The only theory which I have is like he has like a lack of reality check, or maybe he has some kind of image in his head still because he's been in locked for that long. What's your bet?
I might agree on that. One thing that I completely hate about, let's say, ideologies that put, one sort of society over another sort of society, is because they don't share the idea of unity. They share idea of discord, all right? And this is something that I don't accept. Ukrainians were divided like that. When Yanukovych, during his election campaign, was showing like Ukraine divided to sorts of people, starting that moment, even though I considered myself a bit righter, all right, a bit to the right of the spectrum in Ukrainian politics, which was necessary again because Ukraine was massively choked by Russian cultural expansion and Russification everywhere. But me back then, I looked at that shit and I thought, what the hell are you doing? Shit is not a curse, all right, shit doesn't count. I looked at that and thought, what the hell are you doing? Like it's wrong. It's completely wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't. When I look at different movements, whatever movement it is, right? Like America First, which is not bad, from the standpoint of American. It's not bad, but why not? Freedom first? Why not humanity first? Why not security first? All right.
Exactly. You touched such a sensitive topic.
Why not partnership first? Why not trade first? All right. Why not respect first? So that is something I cannot understand. When you meet people from whatever culture they are, whatever religion they are, first thing you show by default is your respect. You gotta always respect people regardless of whatever they do, except for like Russians, Russians, right? But people, generally speaking, you gotta respect them. We are all equal. We all deserve that, and that is why when I see ideologies, saying like, no, those guys are wrong. We are the best. Like, if those guys, let's just cancel them and stuff like that. You don't run country like that. Like I don't support this.
But that's the thing, it's no longer working. Maybe back in the day when society was on a different development level, right? Or when society was on different stage, different everything, it might have worked. Not anymore. Now only horizontal connections will work. No vertical connect. No hierarchy will work anymore. Only horizontal. Like all united, all global. And somebody is asking, is the guy from the Mayhem band? Yes, that's exactly who he is. And sorry, Mr. Starsky is like there's such interesting comments in the chat. Like the Center for Military Concerns in Modern Wars is asking, like, isn't Ukraine where the Greeks thought the Amazons were from? Exactly. There is a idea, okay, this whole thing, civilization thing, okay, comes with the understanding that Ukrainian women actually were Amazons. Just because they were they were in different conditions, they had to survive, and their whole life they were dedicated to survival, actually. And yeah, women too. And yeah, you're absolutely right. That's there.
Yeah. Prepper Nation asks, why not breakfast first? And I sign under this commentary, my friends. Writer's Eye says it's hard to fight on a full stomach. Absolutely, 100%. But it serves as a good award after that. And Paul says dividing people is a tool of power, often not based on ideology, but power strategy. Again, 100%. That is something that we've seen a lot of actually dictators doing, right? Because when you want to reach the support of majority of your people, you gotta tell that minority of the people are posing threat to you, all right? For example, Adolf the H-man did, all right? He said that those people are bad. We are the God's chosen. Putin does literally the same nowadays. He says whatever those Nazi in the NATO say, we are the God's chosen. We have deep Russian soul.
Oh my God, these God's chosen people stole their urinals. For God's sake, God chosen urinals for this matter. Seriously.
Yeah.
But this is a bullshit that they feed their people with to substitute their lack of essential needs. Okay, this God chosen idea, and that's what basically attracts people from outside to Russia. They think, hey, these people are so spiritual, like in India, these people they are spiritual and aggressive. Yeah, and there is something else you don't know about. So when they come to Russia, they have surprise.
Yeah. Spiritual doesn't necessarily mean that they're good people, and another thing, there's nothing more stupid than racism, in my personal opinion. Because when you look at me and you, okay, I have white skin, you have white skin, I have brown eyes, you have brown eyes. We gotta stick together because we're supreme. Who the hell decided that?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, after working in Qatar Airways, I understand that, if, human beings are human beings, okay? Sometimes they have choices, they make choices which don't go alone with my personal opinions or with my personal values, yeah? But it's like, I saw different kind of Indians, for example, yeah? That Indians, which we're used to, okay? But at the same time, we had a brilliant salesman, okay? C-level, yeah, not CEO, but C-level, yeah, the brilliant people. Seriously, they're outsmart everyone. Who's like, come on, how can it be? And at the same time, you see this low life people who don't know any better, literally don't know any better, yeah. And that's very sad. And the same thing is with Russians, okay? When don't judge people by their passport, yeah. There was a commentary the other day left on my page, and they say hey, Russians are Russian. Yeah, I understand. When Russians come to Ukraine carrying a weapon, yes, they are enemies. No doubts on that. Nobody says don't shoot them. And it's the famous saying they should just stop shooting. Sorry, they should just stop shooting. Yeah, but not we. Everyone should stop shooting, not only us, right? And then it will work. Yeah, but if Russian is a random, abstract random person is Russian, they didn't do anything to you. Why do you hate them? In the same way, in Russia, it's the person is Ukrainian. This is a random Ukrainian person. What did they ever do to you so that you hate them so much? Sorry.
They can be very different. The other day we reviewed that episode when simple Russian guy on a train attacked a Ukrainian family only because they were speaking Ukrainian. And the dude himself, he was on a train going to Switzerland. What the hell? So we have cases like that. We have cases like the one that I experienced when I went to the gas station, and because it was early, I could speak German properly. The woman at the gas station turned out to be Russian, but actually from Belgorod, from that area, who lived in Germany for 20 years. And when she learned that I was Ukrainian, she literally started crying. And she said, we had a camp of refugees over there across the road, and we were like trying to gather some kind of stuff for you guys, and she literally stands there crying like I'm at the gas station, all right, like there's a cashier crying. I don't know. I was scared because, like, somebody walks in, they see me, a cashier crying, they might call police or something. Like we have episodes like that. So everybody is different. We have, for example, sanctioned Ivan and the Russian dude. The Russian dude has like blue-yellow channel, literally, even despite his name. He has a blue-yellow channel, and he says this is the proper way to do if you are a Russian person. If you are a Russian person, the best thing you can do right now is literally wear blue-yellow things. First of all, you will show your position immediately, all right? And because Russian people, and you know this for sure, by the way, Russians that don't support Russian aggression and everything else, they have very interesting position, all right? As soon as they see, for example, Ukrainian, they run to Ukrainian and say in Russian language, oh my God, let's make a selfie and everything and show that we are one nation, which to Ukrainians is freaking insulting. And
Exactly.
and for example, on the Olympic Games, you see that a lot when Russians just like run to Ukrainian sportsmen and like hug them and try to make selfies, because first of all it works very well for the Russian propaganda, right? They want to show that no, Ukrainian people and Russian people are the same. It's only like the oligarchs, like the oligarchs, Nazi and America are trying to separate our. No, it is no.
Yeah, it's not
It's
like
it's a
that.
different thing. And
Yeah, but
let me finish. One thing that Russians who actually do that, all right, they should first identify themselves to Ukrainians, so Ukrainians know who they are, all right. So if like they wear some, for example, tiny blue-yellow emblem, we are completely happy, whoever he is, all right, Russian, not Russian, we are completely happy about that. And if they walk around wearing, for example, Russian, Aquafresh, right, like the tricolor,
yeah.
Ukrainians will be immediately hostile towards them, regardless of who they are. That's why identification is like very, very important.
Yeah, that is very true. And another thing, like you mentioned the other day, Russian opposition. And let me tell you something, yeah? Russian opposition and Russians who don't allegedly support Russia, like Putin, they have a very interesting position in sense of their support to Ukraine ends where independence of Ukraine starts. So basically, when they hear that, when like you say, rhetoric is like that: we are one nation, nothing ever happened. Okay, this was a mistake. Let's quash it. Okay, and when you start saying that, hey, okay, but nowadays is not a Soviet Union anymore. This is a separate country. Yeah, you cannot do that to separate. No, they are our friends. You don't understand. So they don't understand the fact. Not understand, they don't accept the fact that world is different now, right? And the same I don't know, these people, I used to watch them on the Russian TV back in the day, yeah, but Ukrainian experts, like you say, and that's they cannot even agree on TV whether Ukraine should or shouldn't have independence. Okay, so what kind of Russian? So you can imagine Russian opposition, okay, argues on the federal channel, okay, TV channel, over the question whether Ukraine should or should not have independence. Yeah, and another thing that, to back up what we just said, okay, the people who don't think like that, let me tell you the story actually, okay. Oxymoron, Russian rapper. Okay, at the beginning of the war, he conducted a series of concerts, Russians against war. Right, we all know that. He's. I consider this to be a right thing, but hear out what happened after that. As far as I know, some 12-year-old girl, she was 12-year-old at that time. Okay, said that she was with Oxy, and he actually, did some inappropriate stuff to her.
That, like considering like all that shit.
Now you get that
why I'm
right.
not surprised? Why I'm not
Now you're
surprised?
right. Anyone, any public figure who speaks openly against Russia is bound to have something like this on their record. We don't know whether he was or wasn't with her. We don't know if it was even him or even her. We don't know anything. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. But now in Russia, he's renounced like a PDF file, okay, openly. So no one will ever, respect him the way they did before. Yeah, and his word is not that valuable for Russians anymore as it used to be. Very, very convenient.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know. Looking at Russian opposition nowadays, that is a very, very sad picture. Seriously, because again, the maximum they can do is like sit like talking heads. Trying to find the meaning of this life, all right, or their broadcasts, and like of course saying that the war is bad and stuff like that. But as soon as you ask them Crimea, all right, where Crimea is supposed to be, they go like, well, it's a very hard question, all right, we can talk. Yeah, flipping sandwich. That's so ridiculous. So yeah, again, returning to our topic, the proper identification is always very, very important, because when Ukrainians meet Russian people, for example, somewhere in the European countries, and Russian people just rush towards them, let's drink vodka, let's whatever. First thing that Ukrainians need to understand is who they are, all right? It's very important. So first thing they expect to hear from them is like, I don't support Russia's war. I'm sorry for what my country did to yours, and that will be enough, all right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly, for example, why I watch like Russian Dude and Sanctioned Ivan, because those guys, first of all, they are not in Russia, all right, which is already a plus, and secondly, again, Russian Dude has blue-yellow channel completely. One thing that makes me actually makes me feel very cringy, when I hear, for example, Russian Dude's Moscovian accent. I just want to. I literally, I feel like giving coordinates, to the artillery brigade. But the reason for that is because literally I've heard it so many times on the radio interceptions, 2015, 2016 in Donbass. I've heard it so many times, and I have I'm triggered every single time. So when Artyom is like, "Hey, hello, Andrei, how are you doing?" When he says that in Russian, I'm getting I feel twitchy in the beginning, and then I remember that no, dude, this is a proper dude, all right, with blue-yellow channel. He's trustworthy.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We have that. Yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
When I'm worried, when I'm anxious, I this accent actually comes to life again, and this is hilarious, especially when you speak Ukrainian. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, never heard it from you. And by the way, my dear friends, one again, very interesting thing that you should probably know. For example, Sophia often speaks Ukrainian when we speak, but sometimes she speaks Russian, I speak Ukrainian, and we understand each other. In Ukraine, this was always the case. In Ukraine, for example, you could often see things like one person speaking Ukrainian language, one person speaking Russian language, which are different languages. They are very different. Russian and Ukrainian are similar in 60% cases, but for example, Ukrainian and Belarusian is similar in 80% cases. All right, 40%. Ukrainian and Russian are 40% similar. Ukrainian and Polish 60% similar. So those are two very different languages. A lot of Russian invaders coming to Ukraine, they cannot understand the local population at all. But in Ukraine, for example, it's not the case. You can see often persons speaking Ukrainian language with persons speaking Russian language, and they understand each other. They don't ask anyone to like speak my language, all right? Like F you, all right? I don't get what you're saying. Because they both know. The Russian-speaking person knows and understands Ukrainian language. Ukrainian-speaking person, of course, knows and understands Russian language, and it's a proper thing. You don't have language racism in Ukraine. You don't say, like, speak my language because I don't understand you. No. Usually people are educated enough, all right? Usually people know a lot of languages in Ukraine. And by the way, for some reason, which I noticed, and the other day I was watching this American dude who learns Russian actually on YouTube, who says that surprisingly more Ukrainians speak English language than Russians.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed as well. So that's another thing, guys. Like, we don't have language racism, all right? We are not racist because we don't say, like, you freak, speak my language, or you know, get out of here. Because in Ukraine, people are educated. In Ukraine, people can speak 2, sometimes 3 languages, sometimes 4 languages. If people come from, for example, from Western Ukraine, they can speak a lot, right? They can speak Polish, English, Russian, Ukrainian, which is my case.
This is the imperial thing, you know, when people don't know any language except their own, and they're like bound to force everyone else to speak their language. It's an imperial thing, because Dagestani guys, okay, like Kalmyki guys, Tatari guys, Bashkiri guys, they all know Russian, yeah. And how come they know their own language and Russian, and Russians only know Russian, even they say no English, like you said. This I believe them, actually, I do, because in Kenya, you go out, like everyone speaks English, even small children. 5-year-old, he will rob you, but he will do it in English. Okay, in Russia, like good luck to find any English-speaking person if you're at the street.
The reason I mentioned that, by the way, is because the other day I saw that absolutely cringy video on YouTube about a lady, I think in Estonia. I might be wrong, maybe it was in Latvia, but I think it was in Estonia, where she actually went to the grocery store, and even despite the fact that she lived 30 freaking years there, she couldn't learn the language, and she was like demanding the cashier to speak Russian to her in Estonia, all right? Like, why? That's something you actually said this in very interesting but truthful way, that if you speak only one language, that generally means that you have this imperial thinking, and you think that everyone else should not know any other language. The only exception might be probably, I don't know, like English-speaking people, all right? United States, United Kingdom, because one way or another we need international language, all right? Doesn't mean that they are imperial. We need international language. So happens that it's yours, all right? Like, you're the lucky ones. You're not imperial. You're just lucky, all right? Otherwise, I was impressed when in school we learned that the most widespread languages are actually English and Chinese, and I was like, why Chinese? Why? Like, how? I've never heard Chinese. Yeah, in my entire, I don't know, like 10-year-old life. How come? And actually, yeah, we were told that there's just so many of them, so it's considered one of the most widespread, but not necessarily because people in Europe or United States or in South America learn it. That is absolutely insane. Another thing I learned about, for example, Indian YouTubers, all right, is that, by the way, do you need to go to work? Am I still
No,
in your time? Oh, so
no, no,
you're
no.
all right, all right. You have weekend today. Great. Like celebrities in India are actually very happy because, for example, you have a very, very big channel on a YouTube. You can expect to have, well, I don't know, if you're PewDiePie, you can of course expect like several billions, all right? But generally, you can expect several 100,000 subscribers, and actually that's a lot. That's an army, all right? That's an army of people. Several thousand subscribers, several million subscribers. That's just, you must just invest so much in your channel, I think. In India, any actor in like soap opera has like several 100 million subs. Literally. Not because they're so popular, it's just because there's so many people there. And it's like, imagine, I don't know, you're starting some unknown YouTube channel in India. Next day you have like 5 million subs. You're like, not bad. Could be bad, but not bad, you know. Then like in 2 weeks you have like 200 million subs. You're like, well, all right. That might be just, just right. That's so cool, literally, because they have so many people that literally follow you. It's amazing, actually. Actors that me and you have never heard about, they have
Yeah.
like hundreds of millions of subs. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's true.
Mark King, I just can't remember any other languages. I have tried to learn Spanish, and for some reason my mind doesn't remember that. Happens. Sometimes it happens. Same with French, for example. At one point, I was seriously prepared to learn French, but my brain just cannot process it properly. So, I don't know. Did you try to learn some other languages, Sophia?
Yes, when I was living in India, actually, I was there for 4 months. I went to Alliance Française school for French, like nothing special, just 1.1, and that was actually great experience because they teach amazing French. I mean, this Alliance Française, they know what they're doing. Yeah, they're like British Council, and even they have a program which allows even a rock dumb person, okay, to learn how to speak. So by the end of course, whatever they want you to learn, you will learn.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's great if your wife speaks Mandarin. 100%. 100%. In the Netherlands, we have something similar, Dutch being the official language, but having plenty of dialects where the Frisian shares official status with Dutch and is closely related to West Germanic. Yeah. That's one thing that I absolutely love about Netherlands is that you can only speak English and you feel absolutely fine in
Yeah,
Netherlands.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
Also, they have amazing beer. Amazing beer.
I love Belgian beer.
Yeah. Belgian is considered. On the other hand, in Germany, I feel like fine in terms of beer. I drink non-alcoholic, and it's just so good here. Like in Ukraine, Paul, have a great day, have a great weekend. Actually, my friend, be safe and healthy. In Germany, wherever you go, like if they have a local brewery, like you gotta drink this one. And actually, it's so traditional. So, for example, if you drink beer that is produced in Düsseldorf and you go to beer that is produced locally somewhere in Dortmund, no, not like that. I'm lying. If you are in Dortmund and they spot you on the street drinking beer produced locally somewhere in Düsseldorf, all right, you are a traitor.
Oh wow.
You go to hell. You go straight to hell. All right. You're a collaborationist. yeah. Well, like, you know, not seriously, really, but it's like that. You know, I saw that. You gotta drink local beer if you want to show that you have a good taste.
If you can, if you want to survive in the neighborhood, yeah, otherwise they'll make your life miserable.
Yeah, German beer is really nice. In Germany, one thing that I noticed is they have raw pork meat with onion and different spices that you can literally put on the bread. I would not risk doing that in Ukraine, though. In Germany, yeah, in Germany, I do that easily, all right, because I don't care. That stuff is, by the way, it comes from Tatar culture. They have the so-called Tatar steak, which is raw beef, all right, grinded into like paste, and there you add like an egg, all sorts of spices, onion and garlic, and it just tastes so good on the black toast. Yeah, Bitburger. Yeah, absolutely. Bitburger is so good. I bought it several times. Mettbrötchen. Ja, genau. So I bought Bitburger several times. It was really good. But I am like secret fan of Polish beer as well, because I've been to Poland in 2014, and since that time, you know, part of my heart remains in Poland, and I enjoy Żywiec and Lech, which I sometimes buy in the Polish grocery store. But to calm you down instantly, it's not because I consider this beer like the best. I consider this beer dear to me, all right, in terms of taste and quality and everything else. German beer is, of course, it's just the best thing you can find in Germany, I think. What's your favorite, by the way? What do you like to consume?
I stopped drinking at the beginning of the war, but if I have to choose, I would definitely go for the Creek, the Cherry Creek. When I was in Belgium, actually, yeah, that we drank like a lot of this stuff. Again, just because it's so expensive everywhere else, and in Belgium, you finally has the easy access to all these tasty things. Yeah, you know, there was a funny story actually. In Belgium, in Brussels, okay, we were staying in some 2-star hotel, but that was one of those hotels when you have them in the very downtown, and they're in the historical buildings, okay, and they had a staircase that you could not afford climbing drunk, okay, or like they didn't have an elevator, but this was not the worst part. I discovered accidentally that one of the bottles was corked, not yeah, they don't have a lid, they had a cork. So I had to, I was actually switching sides, like trying to understand who can help me, and I saw the bunch of skinheads sitting downstairs, okay, in front of the main entrance, and they were just drinking, doing nothing basically. So you can imagine, for me, which was already buzzed, okay, to come down the stairs, okay, and the guys, of course, they didn't know English, okay. So I was just I thought for a moment I did this, and the guy was like the same scene basically. He was thinking for the moment, it's like, oh. And he asked me to wait. I mean, went upstairs and brought the stopper, the opening, okay, the opening device, and opened it in front of me. So like, hey, thank you, like, without saying a single word.
That's amazing. We have so. No lambic in Germany, only very few sour beers overall, Berlin and Weisse being the most prominent. However, in most shops in Cologne, you can't even get that. I have like very, very cool tiny Trinkhalle here, not far from my place, and I think I've seen it. All right, I noticed that literally because I didn't see it anywhere else. Maybe that's like a different one. Yeah, but again, I'm not drinking alcohol myself. Whatever I buy here is usually like non-alcoholic beer, and I enjoy it so much. Seriously, it's just so good. You can literally make police nervous, like driving and like sipping it behind the driving wheel. Yeah,
What
it's
you gonna
fun.
do? What you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to punish them that much. I mean, I respect local police. They are so cool.
Of course. You see the comment in the Clockwork Orange, the bullies drink Malaco Plus, drug spiced milk. After having that drink, they beat up a defenseless homeless. There is this interesting thing actually in the film. If you don't know that, you remember that homeless guy who they are about to beat? He sings a little song, okay? He sings something like, when I first met my sweet Mary Malone, and I actually came to know who that Mary Malone was, okay? And this was no one else as Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary was the first registered case of a carrier of typhoid in the US. She was a cook basically, and she was cooking and spreading disease while she didn't know about it. And when she did come to know, okay, it didn't stop her from cooking basically. Yeah, so they had to lock her away. So that's the whole story basically. But the interesting that they mentioned this Typhoid Mary in the film.
That's crazy. Starsky, could you ask Sophia to explain more about the decline of the Russian population from the 2000s and why she believes it's down to 90 million now? A good question from Adam.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Basically, that's not just me saying. Yeah, that's like there is a version like that. There is a theory like that, because you can see like a lot of weird things are happening in Russia. Basically, of course, none of these points confirms, yeah, that Russian population dropped that much. Okay, but basically this is only estimation, of course, and we started from again 120 million, right? And considering all the trends, considering all the declines and all this, that they start substituting entries on the log books with the dead people, okay, presenting them alive, that on itself is not a good sign, right? And this is being done commonly since early, no, basically not early 2000, I would say, yeah, since 2014, I would say, yeah. Yeah, that's what. And before that it was like that too, because again, they said that considering the official record, right, since 2004, if I'm not mistaken, the record was, yeah, done back in, counting population was back in 2004, something like that. Yeah, it was like 120. But remember, 120 million, that was back in Soviet Union in 1960. Yeah. So we're now in 2025, and it's obviously less, obviously. And migration does not count. I mean, it can't substitute this many people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what are the countries that people usually migrate to Russia from?
What are the motives?
No, no, no.
What are the countries?
What are the countries? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean mostly Baltics. Yeah, which amazes me still, but okay. Ukraine, I would say, but you need to understand what kind of people migrate to Russia, right? People who are from very, very deep minor places. Yeah, we know what is happening there. Unfortunately, it will get better eventually, but now we all know. And people from eastern Ukraine, okay. And the funniest case of somebody, like you say, moving to Russia from Ukraine is, I cannot believe I speak this. Okay, you know this TV program, okay? Battle of psycho, or psychic battle, or the bit extrasensitive, yeah. And there is a guy from Luhansk, but he's young actually. He's youngster. I think he's from. He was born in 2000, something like that. He's very, very young, yeah. But he speaks with this, like this highly recognizable Ukrainian accent. And I was like, and he's mocked for that. So basically, it's not only that he's a fraud, pretended to be a psychic. He's a collaborant. In fact, yeah, maybe not directly, but he moved to Russia while his country was in trouble. Yeah, and this is like a смех и грех. This is laughter in and cry, because you don't know whether to laugh or cry. The guy is so pathetic, seriously. And when he speaks like no harm, like, затягує, this whole thing.
Yeah, what sort of people migrate to Russia? Well, basically, you can see them on the screen. Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I think we need to research that a bit more. Julian says, au revoir, look after yourself, people, take heart in knowing you are the good guys. Have a great day, my friends. The Clockwork Orange bullies are basically Gopniks, imagine 30 years before. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
do you know about Gopniks? Basically, about this movement. This is the real movement, by the way. You know about it, right? It started in Kazan, in Tatarstan. Yeah, Tatars are good in it. Revolving, rebelling, basically. No, but the jokes apart, actually, there was a big movement from the lower sides of Russian society, let's say. Yeah, it was like organized crimery. It had become an organized crimery at some point, and yeah, a lot of people died and got involved in that. And yeah, but this was hilarious in the sense of it was very recognizable. Yeah, so yeah, it's part of historic movement.
Yeah. Starsky, have you ever seen the video of the German tank holding a beer testing the stability of the tank? Actually, Ukrainians snatched that idea. Ukrainians already did that. I believe 2018 or 2019, we also had the same video. I might even find it somewhere on the YouTube some other time. But yeah, I've seen that one, and actually we did that with the Ukrainian T-64, either Bulat or a plot modification. So yeah, the tank stabilizer, generally speaking, they are incredible, because imagine what sort of equipment you should have to be able to shoot from a tank, all right, that goes like 60 kilometers per hour, jumping, across that crazy terrain, and you need to be able to shoot precisely at 1,000 meters, 1.5, 2,000 meters. So the tank stabilizers are generally considered like the masterpiece, like the masterpiece of electronics. Wherever you go in any country, that's exactly the way it is. Christo Groziev would be a great guest for your channel someday. His work is top notch. Absolutely, I absolutely admire Christo Groziev. He's a very, very good all-seenter and amazing investigator, I think. Here in Belgium, every town used to brew its own beer. Nowadays, there are still numerous local initiatives and are sold in local supermarkets. And that's something that I love, about West Europe, is that you have like tiny traditions like that. For example, you have a tiny brewery somewhere, like in Bavaria, for example, in some specific area, and they produce beer that you can only buy there locally. That is so cool. Belgium, for example, Netherlands, that's the same stuff. They have that tradition. It's so cool, and that is the reason why people should travel more, to get acquainted with the local traditions. That is something that actually makes every country so much special, And I can see that amazing cat behind your back there on the sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 10, almost 10. I took her in 2016. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just come say hi. This is my Qatari princess. Let's try to convince her to participate in our little stream. Yeah, she's a Qatari princess. And yeah, she's a precisely Arabian Mau. Yeah. And blue-eyed, but still have little autistic tendencies. But you can say actually this Arabic Mau, they tried to domesticate it only in 2003. So before that it was like roaming freely around the desert, eating out of trash cans and feeling happy. But when urbanization came, okay, I mean not back in 2003, but in general, they tried to domesticate it, and that's basically one of the cases. But I can tell you she's like not like a ordinary domestic cat. She required like a lot of love, a lot of work, yeah, to be trained like that, not in sense of using the trash litter, but also in sense of communication. But yeah, I guess we're there now. We've done it.
Yeah, it's so cool to have a cat. I want to have myself like a Maine Coon or something maybe sometime. Just to make my Persian lady happier. Like the very name of this cat will already put a smile on her face. What do we have? My 2 kitties lived 20 years.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, I know cases when cats, and specifically for some reason, the smaller breeds of dogs can live like 20, I don't know, 18, 20 years easily. So that's... I did see a pussy cat. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, but just imagine, I took her in Doha, okay, from the street, like literally, and then she traveled with me like 3 countries in 2 years. So we've been in Qatar. We like started from Qatar. We went to Russia, and then I made sure to bring her over to Ukraine. So she understands a little Arabic, she understands a little English, but yeah, a little Ukrainian as well. But yeah, mostly doesn't care to understand.
Yeah, Ukraine becomes more and more multicultural, and I enjoy it. Do you declaw cats over there, or is that looked on badly? I think it is. I think it is. Yeah.
It is bad. Yeah, it is very, very bad. No, this one has a huge claws, but God forbid ever, the claw out. No way, no way. And basically, my landlord lady, okay, my landlady, okay, she declined. She refused the guys who watched this property before me just because they declawed their cat. And she's a veterinarian. She said no way.
Yeah, that hurts the animal so bad because their balance gets effed because of that. Secondly, there's nothing easier to just buy this stuff that they just scratch, the scratch pad or something like that, and basically that's it. It works. Or buy just a couple of them, for example, if your cat likes to do that, to scratch furniture, just put it there next to the furniture, and they will use those. Declawing cats is
yeah, no. When I came here, yeah, I knew that my lady, my cat lady, will definitely scratch everything. Okay, so I told the landlady, say, hey, listen, let her do whatever she wants. I'll pay for it. Okay. So basically, it's only that the other sofa in the other room got, liberated. Let's put it like that. Okay, defamed, and all this. But yeah, otherwise everything's totally fine. And she's like, okay, fine. Like we don't care. And that's why in order not to, spoil the cat's nervous system. Yeah, when you don't have to shush her like every time she does something. And at the other hand, what's gonna happen.
Yeah. There are specific nail clippers for cats that you gotta use like very, very carefully, all right, and literally clip the very point of their claws, because sometimes they can be just so freaking sharp. I remember that kitten that I picked at the parking lot back in 2023 in Kyiv. She was tiny and her claws were like tiny scalpels, and because she was crazy, she would jump at me in the night and literally like tear me apart. So I bought the tiny clipper and I would very, very gently just clip the very point of it. So it's not like the claw is there, of course, but it's not killing me anymore. and that's probably the maximum that we can do in Ukraine. They sell the nail clippers in zoo stores, so you can easily get them. But again, you gotta be very careful, because on the claw there's like this, like the very claw and the bag with like
Blood vessel. Yeah,
blood
blood
vessel.
vessel.
Yeah, so you got to be extremely careful. At the same time, it's so hard to do. For example, when cat has like 18 claws, and it's crazy, it doesn't just stay in one place. So sometimes it's like you clip the claws like one by one throughout a week, and then they grow back still. So
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. And Steve says, get a scratch in post. Mr. Steve, it will not work. I promise you, because we tried that before. It did not work. She will scratch whatever she wants to scratch. But basically, the good thing is only that. So nothing else. So she chooses something over something else, and she keeps scratching it, and that's it. It's easier actually, just to let her do whatever she wants on that particular point, and do not let her do this to any other furniture. So she knows that this thing is she's allowed to scratch, and this she is not. That works.
Yeah. With older lions, it's different. Their claws can grow like crazy. They have to be shaped always. Thank God I am not acquainted with lions.
Lions.
Yeah, their claws, because that's, oh my God, I would not even risk, you know.
Mr. Hunter Fetzer is asking, do you speak English to your cat, Sophia? Yes, I do sometimes, yeah, but she doesn't care to understand, actually. You know, right? This cat is like, I don't care. I hate you equally.
Yeah. Wait a second. I don't eat cats, but my wife might. If she comes from the planet of Melmac, I've heard that someone at Melmac do that as well. Of course, I'm referring to Alf. That was some of the coolest shows from my childhood. Oh my God, I gotta rewatch it actually. What do you both think of the Central Asian migration to Russia, especially with all the racism, division, and different religions? What kind of problems could this lead to? That's a very good question, by the way. I'm sure that you can tell a lot about that.
Well, yeah, and I was actually surprised after coming to Ukraine. I realized that this whole migrant thing was entirely Russian. So people from Ukraine, they do not understand the pain, and it's a good thing. Yeah, basically, migration from Central Asia, and then from Caucasus as well. It started in the early 90s when we experienced like a lot of men from these territories marrying Russian women with all related, trying to assimilate Russia. Yeah, of course, it led to the point where Russia started to accept more migrants that they could assimilate, right? And that happens because in the early 90s, when the economic growth had started, like a lot of like Muscovites and people from big cities, they said, hey, this minor job is not for us. But on the other hand, you don't know how like many people exactly thought like that, because we had a lot of like old people who would not mind like swiping the streets. It's not shame, right? There's nothing shameful in that. It's just a job. And like just because there was a like common comprehension, and it was false, of course, that no one wants to do these jobs. Okay, and we need more migrants, more and more migrants. They started like bringing these people over, bringing cultural differences, right? Cultural let's say views and religious views. Okay, so we started having things like Muslim guys like cut their throats of the not lamb, but the sheep. Okay, right in front of the children at the children's playground outside. Yeah, like this is not. But again, right? What kind of people are coming? We need to understand the same kind of people who pretend to be a psycho in the Russian television. The same kind of people, basically, from the very deep down they are parts of the country, and of course no one good has ever come in with them. Of course it was a big thing, and like Russian nationalists movement, okay, it let's say it rose and failed. okay, like just because of this migration. But all in all, and they're still doing that. They're still under assumption, okay, under like impression that migrants is the source of their like everything bad that ever happened to Russia. While in reality, when I talk to my friends, say, hey, listen, it's like it's not that everyone is being effed, equally. It's not the skin color anymore, it's not language anymore, it's something else. Think about it. But that's because they don't want to think. You remember, like, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Actually, in the film Generation P, there was one moment that actually said it all. Okay, there is a moment in that film where the main character is asking, and who is ruling all this? If we are mere executors, we thought we were like the source of this, but we are not. So who is ruling all this? And the other character says, hey, you don't have to think of it. You don't think of it. You don't. And that said it all. It's like, whatever you do in Russia, do not think.
Yeah, order is an order, of course. I wonder what kind of sauce the Russians use when eating a cat or dog. They are eating the donkeys and horses. Putin had to borrow motorbikes. They will be like, guys. Donkey costs $400 right now in Russia, so it's a lot. I'm sure they will eat it, of course, but when they don't have choice. But that stuff is expensive. Like the whole platoon would, collect money to buy a donkey or two. But on the other hand, they are millionaires. They can afford, right? What else? My dear friends, surprisingly, we are running into 3.5 hours of this stream already. Oh my God. I think we should let Sophia go and have some breakfast finally, and me too, by the way. And also, I think we can just wrap it up shortly because it's been a long stream, all right? It was really cool. Again, as always, a lot of insights coming from you, a lot of very interesting updates coming from Ukraine and Russia. And I'm trying to, my God, the updates keep coming. That's freaking insane. But we will talk about that just a bit later because this stream will never stop. Okay, my dear friends and family, Sophia, thank you so much for staying with us. As always, it's a huge pleasure to see you here, to have you here on our streams and hear your thoughts. Also, my dear friends, again, thank you big time for staying with us. Big thanks to Mercado's army of renegades to attack and take over of our chat. Big thanks to all the moderators and Perhadlins. Not just lunchtime, it's brunch time, all right? It's lunch and brunch combined. So, thank you so much. Sophia, anything you may want to say?
Yeah, I just want to wish our viewers a happy weekend and thanks for having me. And have a nice rest of the Sunday.
Yeah, thank you, big time. My dear friends, as always, be safe, treat yourself with something good, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.